All right.
So I'm not supposed to say that word?
Yeah. All right. We are live now. I'm going to go ahead and send out the stream, the link. That way I can check it on my phone.
Caleb. About to cast some pods.
All right, we are live.
Actually, where do they find this?
I'm getting the link right now. It'll be in the bio
Of the Instagram page?
Yep, of Redneck Tech.
Here with Copen Creative today, Ryer, Caleb, about to cast some pods. You can find the link. They're going to stream it live on YouTube at the account I tag here. Link will be in the bio. What's up?
All right, I just put the link up.
Can you hear me?
I can. Give me some test audio.
Test 1 2, test 1 2.
Test 1 2. You sound. I think you know what's happening is you're turning me down.
Yeah, because we keep switching headsets every time.
Yeah, I've got number 2 again. So now
Want to switch now?
No.
Let's just switch and then we can be.
I've got the same thing on there.
That's better.
Yeah, I
Turn me down.
Fixed you and I turned me up because you apparently like to listen to things really soft, smooth jazz.
Soft, smooth.
Oh, it's fine. You're good. Y'all are fine. Sorry, I should have told you, Katie.
It's fine. Just interrupted the entire podcast. All of our fans. They're all enraged now.
All right, we got.
I hate how when I open my computer, it tells me all the things that.
Jamey, you need a laptop and like stuff in front of you so you look. I'm just kidding.
He's a Renaissance man.
It's all up here.
He's got the notepad.
Steel trap.
Moleskin. Amazon. I literally have 6 or 7 of these every topic.
See, never really messed with those much.
If I don't write it, or if I don't put it in my calendar, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
There you go.
But yeah,
$10,000 right there.
Oh, I didn't break it.
Yeah, luckily those are a little more resilient than people think they are. Thankfully, because if they weren't, then we'd be screwed. I'm pulling the notes up right now too.
What's the password?
For the Wi-Fi? It was on the table. Hold on, let me find it. I always forget it too.
I went and put it on my desk. Let's see if we've got any subscribers on to the live feed right now. I know we had a couple said they were going to tune in. Coffee.
Gracias. I literally can't remember. They're all the same. That's word.
Are they really?
I mean, with like one different number.
Well, I set it up, and then we hadn't been in here.
It's not saying.
We hadn't been in here very long.
Turn yourself down in my mic, and you're talking so loud.
Turn me down?
Turn you down in my headset.
I don't think I can do that.
It was loud.
Oh, sorry. We had just gotten here.
It's actually not working.
That's probably the old one.
Well, I set it up when we first got here, and then power surge and smoked our old router.
It's $5, Jamie.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why it's not working. I see you tried to skip the credit card input. That's why it didn't work.
Man, there's been some days though, Ryer, back in the day when I was working from home, I would have paid $5 to come to somewhere like that had internet like this.
It take you 2 days to upload one video.
Oh man, dude, longer
Like,
than
no,
that.
I'm done with it. I've been done with it for 3 days. It's just
No,
not.
the-
Nicole keeps getting on the phone, and I can't upload it.
Yeah,
Uses the
seriously.
I can't
Oh,
get
yeah.
the kids off the other line.
No, that's seriously what happened. But there was literally a time, a couple of different times where I could have physically put it on a hard drive and driven it
Yeah.
to the client. Would have been faster than my
Put
internet.
it in the mail would have been faster than uploading it.
100%.
Yeah. That's.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's what my internet at home is right now.
And
I,
now-
I clocked it the other day. It was like 0.5 megabits a second.
Oh God, that's
It,
so
it couldn't hardly run the test.
That's what 56 kbs is, right? 56 kilobytes, 0.5.
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It was bad. It's real bad.
It's just whatever the Gmail password is.
I forgot that.
Gosh, thank God I have a sheet for this. Otherwise, we'd be screwed.
Yeah.
I know
hold on.
Tony's on there. Hey, Tony, I saw you. I'm trying to log into the Redneck Tech YouTube on my fancy computer here
Redneck Tech.
so that I can look at the comments and stuff.
Pretty sure that's it, or it's this. Can't remember which one.
I don't think it's the second one. It's such a long password.
I know. I'm sorry.
We're not typing all of that. It's not that. Mm-mm.
It's not that. Then try the second one. Pretty sure it's the second one.
Why do all they keep changing?
Because that one got hacked. That's the one that got hacked. That's why I changed it. That's why I'm pretty sure it's the second one I just texted you.
It is.
I told you. I'll need to fix it on my sheet then.
The Gmail got hacked?
No, the Instagram, and I changed everything.
Oh, going above and beyond.
Yeah. I had time to do that day.
I'm still going to need a little bit turned down. It's awfully loud.
Okay.
No. My headset.
Oh, your headset.
Yeah.
You're such a wimp.
I like to keep my ears nice and fresh. Okay, I finally got access. What's up, Tony? Says, let's get this mother going.
What's up, Tony?
So, Tony. Tony, you told me how to say your last name last time. Still not even going to attempt it.
I think isn't it supposed to pretty much how it...
Sangilosi? Sangilosi. That sounds right.
I think that's correct. He's going to say it's not, but... What is happening? Gotta get those gains, man.
What is it?
Get those gains.
Curls out
Oh,
of his-
yes. Yes. All right. We've got every wire and every laptop in the office fired up. As you can tell, we got Jamey Shirah here.
Sangilosi.
Sangilosi. Okay. Did he say it again?
Well, he typed it.
Oh, yeah.
Sangilosi.
Sangilosi.
Did
Okay.
we put on our
Saint
Instagram that we're live?
Gelosi's.
Yes. No, I didn't put it on the Instagram. I put the link in the bio, though.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and...
You can do that?
Yeah, so that people know.
Oh, man. You fired up about the fall?
Yeah. I mean, this quarantine. I mean, it's a good, there's been a lot of positives come out of it for sure, but like, man, I'm ready to be outside and away from most people.
The mic a little bit closer to you. Yeah, just try and keep it closer to you.
How about this?
And that's
Ooh.
ooh, little bass
Wow.
there.
We getting low? Are we digging down deep?
Yeah. A little bass in my headphones.
I need more cowbell.
I got a fever.
Yeah, I told you I talked to Lee in Oklahoma, and we're good to go there. I've got to figure out when it might.
What stinks is their rut coincides with my farm, basically.
Well,
It's later than most Midwest places, right?
It's usually first week of November, first, second week. The last week of October is really usually on fire too. That seeking stage, man.
Okay, well that's good because ours is like last week in November. Ours is always the week after Thanksgiving is usually
the best time to go, though. Honestly, if we can, if Lee has time to put out trail cameras and do the work like he wants to on this farm, opening day October the 1st.
Okay.
It's hot, but it's
not.
It's the best
Camilla,
time.
Georgia.
No, it's not Camilla, Georgia.
Or America's Georgia.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a different kind of
stank.
Different kind of hot.
You have to buy like little ice packs. Put them in your clothes to sit there, soaking wet, but at least you're not sweating to death.
You might need to lean in a little bit, Caleb.
I feel awkward.
It's just a little, or just scoot this way maybe. See how that does. That's 6. If I just had one more foot.
It's always the problem, isn't it?
12 more inches is the problem.
Got a large problem. Or a very small one.
problem.
Yeah, very small problem.
Requires a very large solution.
Yeah. This is a family podcast.
Yeah, it is. Well, it was.
Until Ryder got involved.
Yeah.
Well, that'll happen. That's what happens when you get those millennials in here. I feel like there needs to be something on the front of the table.
Like what?
I don't know. I've got that golden moose.
Yeah, it's in the other room.
Or the turkey.
You put the turkey up there and it cover up the whole frame.
Just turkey right here. I saw that.
Oh, man. Dude, have you seen some of the deep fakes lately?
The what?
Real bad.
They're so bad.
The what?
They're scary deep fakes. So essentially they put some dude's face on some hot chick coming out of the pool.
I hate that stuff.
Oh, man, it's scary.
I hate it. Is you get this little, before you can recognize what's going on, you get that little twinge. In your head. You're like, oh, ooh,
Yeah. Have you
feel like you've betrayed yourself.
hate me. Hate me.
Have you been on TikTok at all?
No.
Oh, you're missing life,
You
dude.
need TikTok.
I have a TikTok.
You need to get on TikTok.
Okay, listen to me when I tell you this.
Do y'all create?
We have a little bit, not much.
With
Dude.
all the time that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to create in my free time when I'm not creating
all day.
other things.
Dude, I'm telling you, solid freaking gold. And me and Nicole kind of figured it out the other night. So Nicole's not been off social media for over a year. Well, I got her on TikTok. And you don't have to have an account just to browse.
Oh, okay.
Oh, dude, she's like watching every one of them. And she figured
I don't get the trend of watching grown men dance.
This is how TikTok works, is when you first get on there, it doesn't know what you want to watch yet. And so it gives you all of the dancing. But then as you interact, it starts to learn what you want to see. And then TikTok evolves into all of these little niches of high-quality content.
But there's also, there's a ton of obviously cross-share on Instagram. So a majority of the videos you see on Instagram now are TikToks.
Okay, but
TikTok's like the replacement of Vine.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Vine is the single greatest app to ever exist ever in life.
Okay.
What happened?
It's the
Twitter ruined it.
Yeah,
it's the best version of Vine. So here's what TikTok is.
That's a stretch.
No.
I won't allow for that.
Okay.
It's not the best version of Vine.
Okay. Anyway, so here's the difference. Instagram is fake reality. It's the highlight reel of everybody's life.
Yeah.
TikTok is the real person. TikTok is down in the ditches. It's people's real personalities. It's them trying to be funny. It's them living life.
Well,
it's the good and the bad and the ugly. I think it's...
I'd be scared to have a TikTok then because my Instagram's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty real. I mean, it is what it is.
I think that's because, like, I don't know. I guess this is what I find the best humor. I guess is because I relate to it the most. Is it's like parents and their kids and like all the funny things that kids do and the
it's more relatable.
Well, there's so many. It's super
relatable.
Extremely relatable. Like me and my wife will send TikToks back and forth to each other like all day of like this trend where the husband or the wife will literally just say this comment randomly. They'll be filming their significant other and be like, I feel like you could have been nicer to me today.
Yeah, and see what the
reaction is.
those.
Oh, dude, they're freaking hilarious. Because my wife is like, that is you 100%.
But you know what? Now you can't trust
There's always tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, what?
But some of the reactions, dude, some of the reactions of these wives, Like this one wife just goes off on her husband. She's like, "Oh yeah, I was real nice to you last night, and I got up and I made breakfast and I took care of the kids and I did this and all you've done is sit right there. But I could have been nicer." And the husband's like, "Whoa, this was a joke."
In and delete.
Yeah, she's in the kitchen.
I don't understand
the kitchen just throwing her hands.
The videos. I mean, I guess people do it because obviously they hope it goes viral. But all these videos that people put up of themselves of just making complete
Oh yeah,
butts of themselves.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty embarrassing.
but then you have like
It's like, why would you? Well, first of all, why are you trying to film that?
Yeah.
Second of all, why would you put the video up? Like you're the only person that has
Yeah.
the video.
But there's like then we
doing?
find people like Caleb Francis. You follow Caleb
Oh
Francis?
yeah, that guy's
And
hilarious.
The world needs more of him in their life. Like this dude is hilarious. Oh my gosh, yeah, it's by far my favorite. But I'm not a creator on there. I'm very much a consumer on TikTok.
I'm trying to figure out the creating. I just don't have the time right now. I feel like
I don't. Yeah, no one
I think
does.
what it looks like most people are, they're creating videos on TikTok and then they just share them to their Instagrams. Their time goes into TikTok.
Yeah.
And then everything else is shared. Like most
Well,
people
to
now, or up till TikTok, most people put all their time into Instagram and then shared it to Facebook or to Twitter.
Well, there is time. Some of these TikTok videos take some time, man,
yeah.
for sure. And the creativity of people.
What's the editing functionality in TikTok?
I haven't even gotten that deep in it.
I've watched some tutorials, and as an editor, it looks like a major pain. I would rather just take all the clips,
That's what I'm asking.
put it in a timeline, and do it. But there's a lot of effects that you can do inside of TikTok, and so I think that's kind of one of the driving factors of people editing in the app.
And that's probably where their competitive advantage will come, is the ability to actually do some legit editing, and whatever those functionalities people are using, that's what's gonna
and what happens is
drive
somebody will
their development of the app probably.
and somebody will come up with a cool video, something that looks cool with an effect, and they'll do it. And because TikTok is a platform where it's encouraged to replicate the work of other creators, somebody else will want to do that thing, and then it becomes a challenge to see if you can do it and accomplish the same sort of thing
Or improve on
Clay's making fun of my shirt.
Clay Corrington.
Mm-hmm.
I told him that Clay said that Caleb looks like a human highlighter, and I said that it was difficult to expose correctly for that shirt. I really had a hard time.
I didn't think my shirt through.
I had to flag him. You can't see it; it's out of the frame. But I had to put a flag up to really darken this general area.
All right, y'all ready to do this thing?
Mm-hmm.
Let go.
All right, let's do it.
The Redneck Tech Podcast is brought to you by Diamondback Covers, the absolute best cover you could ever spend your money on. If you need an insurance policy for all the expensive gear on the back of your truck, then you need a Diamondback cover. Make the bed of your truck a vault with Diamondback.
Right here. Yeah. You want it? Yeah. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We are live on YouTube currently, and we have got me, Red Velvet, and Jamey Shirah in the office.
What's up?
And we are going to be doing episode number 98 today. Jamey came up this morning to pick up some stuff that he left in my truck since last September on our elk hunt.
It's a trademark of mine.
Trademark of yours.
Leaving stuff.
Exactly. And we are going to kind of get into later on in the podcast about social media, the look of social media content, the climate right now, some trends that are going on. Ryer's laughing. Why are you laughing? What did Clay say?
No, it's Tony.
Tony, what did Tony say?
Tony said, I play this intro as I walk into the bedroom to greet my wife. I'm honored.
I'm honored. I really am.
It's the depth of the voice.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, is it the Diamondback truck covers part that you play, or is it the music? Because if it's the Diamondback, we have a recording studio. I can record anything you want. All right. Let's get back to the wholesome content.
All right, so essentially, Jamey's been on the podcast before. He was on the phone the first time, so he decided to come up, and we had breakfast. And it's July the 3rd. This will come out on Monday on the 5th. So technically, really, not a whole lot of people working today. So hopefully, there'll be some people listening and hanging out and asking questions at the end. So if you're not, get ready to ask questions because we'll answer some questions for any of us. I'm sure Jamey would love to answer some questions too if you had some for him. But Jamey, and we'll let you intro yourself again. We've known each other for, 5 years? 4 or 5 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2014 or 15.
Did we meet we met before that hunt with Dudley and Andy, didn't we? We met at Killcliff a long time ago, but it was just briefly.
Yeah. Very briefly.
That was
the first time we really hung out.
That would have been 13, 12 or 13, because I started working at Sub 7 in January 2012, and that would have been shortly after that. So it would have been 12 or 13. And you were doing what at Killcliff then?
Operations. So there were basically 4 or 5 people in the company, and I had come from the restaurant industry, still in the restaurant industry, and started running operations, really having no idea or experience or anything what I was doing. And we kind of went from 0 to, over 10 million in sales. So that was a pretty.
Do you have any idea what it is now?
No. I have
Way over 10 million, I would assume.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
That would be the positive thing.
Yeah.
But no, the first time we really hung out though was at the farm with Dudley and Andy, and I think that was my first foray into this entire industry. I mean, because Baker was like, yeah, Caleb's going to come down, he's going to bring his gear, and then you were like, yeah, I want Dudley to do a podcast. And I'm like, what's a podcast?
Yeah.
Hunting podcast? Well, I don't understand it.
I'm pretty sure Dudley's podcast, I'm trying to think, down there at your place, I think that's the first podcast I ever did, was Dudley's. I'm fairly certain
I remember you were having a little trouble setting the equipment up, so that would make sense.
Well, no, that's the first time I'd ever been on one or done one, and that was on his, and pretty sure that is the first time I'd ever done one. Because I remember, I say that. We had recorded 2 other ones with Baker for his podcast that never happened, that will never happen now.
He's got content for years.
Oh, man, he's got content for years. But that's the first one that I ever guess I did that actually went somewhere.
Yeah.
And look at us now.
Who would have guessed it? Look at us.
Look,
comes back full circle.
Yeah.
Comes back full circle. But yeah, that was a very interesting.
Closer to the mic. You're backing up on me. Just pull it closer to you and sit. Yeah.
Very interesting weekend. Am I good? Yeah. Very interesting weekend for me, being that it was the first time I'd been around any of that and seen any of that and experienced any of that. I mean, I grew up in South Jordan on a farm. We went hunting every weekend, and I didn't even realize the industry that was associated with everything. And some people were like, "Yeah, John Dudley's coming, and Andy Stump's coming, and Caleb's coming," and I'm like, I don't know these people, And then I start looking up, stuff on the interwebs.
Yeah,
and I'm like, holy crap! This is huge. There's a lot of.
It was huge then. It would be even huger now. Yeah.
I mean, it's 3 to 5 times
huge.
So I was blown away. I mean, it was a super cool experience for me.
Yeah.
I honestly wish I had known a little bit more about it beforehand.
Well, see, I mean, that trip. I mean, I knew who Dudley was.
Yeah.
But I mean, and at that point, I had filmed, the who's who of hunting at the time, and to go film with somebody who had another show is like, okay, it's just another day for me. And then come to find out, Dudley was, would end up being a client. Dudley is the mover and shaker that he is, and then Andy's, gonna become the mover and shaker that he is. It's like, I didn't take it seriously, and I think that was a good thing for me because I was just doing my job and trying to be one of the guys and hang out and create some cool content, and that's what resonated with those guys. And now we've been working with Dudley pretty much ever since.
Yeah, I mean, I wish, just kind of personally and selfishly, I'd have known a little bit more so that I could have actually used that a little bit more to my
had your finger on.
I mean, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I had in front of me.
Well, you left it in Baker's competent hands at that point, and we love Baker.
Well, there's a little bit of miscommunication between some people. But
you gotta love him though. Golly. So yeah, that was the first time we'd ever really done a whole lot together. And that's the first time you'd ever been around, kind of the content creation side, like you said. And since then, we did a hunt last year, you, me, and Ryer. And
and what a hunt that was.
Oh man,
what a hunt.
I don't know how much of that story we want to tell, but
that wasn't just a hunt. That was an experience.
It was an experience, but it's a really good story to tell now. We lived through it, barely.
That tagged you guys in the Instagram post.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I guess we'll just die on the mountain.
I think that was all of our mentality. Like, well,
here
we are.
So there's this post on Instagram, and basically, it's
I've got it on.
They're making fun of like people that get stuck on the mountain, right? Because they don't really know what they're doing. Well, I mean,
idiots.
Yeah, idiots. and we were idiots for sure. It was 100%. It was really, I mean, it was Kayla's fault, but it was really my. But it was really. But it was really my fault because we went another 200 yards down into the depths of hell chasing those elk as the sun was going down.
But who wouldn't have done that?
Yeah, that's my thing.
The thing. It's like if there's on the day of the hunt that we were on, and how many elk and hunters we had encountered, which is one elk, and at least 75 hunters, right? Am I getting that number right?
Yeah.
Everywhere.
And it was the last day? We had 2 days left.
Well, we thought we had 2 days left.
We thought we had 2 days left. And here we were on top of the mountain. We had been there all day. And just what seemed like halfway down the other side, the wrong way, was an elk.
Not that far.
Compared
to how far we,
it was a herd.
Yeah.
I mean, there were 3 or 4 buglers that were.
I can vividly remember being standing on top of that mountain.
And
and we called those guys in, and we were standing there talking to them that we just called in our 117th sets of hunters. And we heard those elk bugle, and we're like looking at those guys like, are we going to have to kill these guys to go after that elk? Because I'm thinking about it like, I will murder these people to go after that elk.
And they're like, oh no, we're going in.
And I remember vividly.
And I was like, where are y'all from? They're like, Wyoming. No, Washington. State.
I vividly remember them saying, yeah, we're going to go ahead and head back to camp. And I'm like, man, we got 45 minutes before dark. Yeah. These guys are sissies. And we're like, all right. We're like, deuces. They climb over the hill. We're like, let's go. Yeah.
I think maybe I think we should start the story from the beginning.
I don't know. How much time do we have?
Jamey could probably tell it pretty quick.
I mean,
just to give people some background of where we were at.
Yeah, we've told a little bit of the story in pieces, but
so we have this little series that it's Caleb's brainchild, and it's called Make It Happen, and basically it's showing people how to go and do these hunts. We wanted to do an elk hunt, self-guided.
We wanted to do a lot of hunts, but the elk hunt was the first one we had a chance to do.
That's the one that
we had done the turkey hunt already,
and the fishing. That was after, but long story short, these are wild animals and things never go as planned. But we went out to Idaho, drew a tag in the Elk Creek region, I think. Tex Creek, 66.
Should have been 66A, but we got 66.
Yeah, so 66 and 66A are across the road from each other. 66 has all the people and no elk. 66A has all the elk and no people. And we didn't know that. So things you learn, right? Long story short, we're setting up a camp. We literally drive in at night. We have no idea what we're doing, where we're going. We've got our map system that we're looking at. We're trying to figure out, hey, if I was an elk, where would I live? We chose all the wrong places. The main problem is just being so many dang people. And then finally, day 4 of 5, a buddy of Caleb's tips us off, says he sees elk grazing, we're moving along edge of this mountain. We go in there. Turns out it's the gnarliest stuff that you could be in. The thickest.
Naturally.
I mean, trees, every other tree was a blowover.
Yeah.
So you got
but not blow over to where you can step over it. Blow over to where you can't climb over it.
It's chest high.
Yeah.
So, and then there's one that's like knee high. So you're like trying to wedge yourself between them. I mean, you can't just hike anywhere.
Yeah, no.
You're climbing up, you're climbing down, you're going through. So we get out there the first morning. We pop a bugle about a mile into the hike, half a mile into the hike.
Yeah, we
pop a bugle and it's like all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like 7 or 8 different bugles.
We're like, we found them.
And when we know they well, we hope they're not hunters, but as we hear them moving, as we're like, there's no, I mean, an elk can be 200 yards up the mountain in 3 seconds, it seems like. So we're in the chips. We're all fired up. We stalk down probably 3 or 4 different elk and get really close.
Close enough where you feel like you should be able to see them.
Yeah, and you just couldn't see them. We just couldn't see. It was so thick you couldn't see them. That's why they were there. But once we got in that ravine where the river was coming down, where we were like on top of them, we started. That's where they were bedding, because there was just, I mean, it was destroyed.
You couldn't see and you couldn't see. When it wasn't destroyed, you couldn't see 20 yards in front of you because it was so thick.
Yeah. Long story short, we're there all day. All day going as hard as we can go. I think we did.
Well, it took us virtually all day to hunt from where we left the truck, got to that river. Took us all day to get to the tip top where we called in those other guys.
Yep.
And that was literally holding ourselves on the side of the mountain, following, what elk trails we could finding a path you could actually physically walk, not have to climb over deadfall. And we just kind of zigged our way, and it was freaking steep the whole day.
I mean, I feel like I'm in pretty good shape, and obviously altitude changes everything for somebody that lives at 300 feet above sea level. Going to 8,000, 9,000 is a big change. But, I mean, I was physically wasted, towards the end. And then, like you said, the elk were just going off all day. It was one of those where they bugled all day. And so you're just constantly driving because if we just come over this next ridge, if we just we just got to go right there, you can see it, it's not that far, but then you can't get there. You just cannot get there. And then you get yourself where you get in a position where you can't go up, you can't go down, and you're just in a really bad position. But we get back to the top, we take a little break, we sit down, we call. This is when that other group of hunters come in. And this is where the fun starts.
That we 100% thought was not a group of hunters.
No, I was convinced that was an elk.
I was over your shoulder, and we were ready.
Oh, yeah. We were trying to do a tactical.
Oh, yeah. Y'all had already got caught with your pants down once. That wasn't happening.
We were trying to do a tactical flank and come around and, draw up on them as they came in front of us. And these hunters were like...
On a scale from 1 to 10, though, how good was my calling to bring those hunters in, though?
Excellent.
It was excellent.
They thought we were an elk.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They saw me, and they were like, wait.
You guys aren't?
They're like, wait, is that... Who's that? Where's that elk?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's our other guy. They're like, oh.
Yeah.
You see, one of the sons was like 12 or 7. He's just like, damn. It's like, man, this sucks.
Oh,
he was tired of being out there.
Oh, dude, I went on aggressive sequence. When I heard that elk call back, I'm like, this is it. Yeah. Y'all go.
Well, we were almost level.
Yeah.
It was that open level, because if it would have been an elk, I mean, he would have just run right down to us. I mean, it would have been beautiful.
And the great thing is, if we would have shot an elk there, can only run downhill.
Yep.
But knowing what we know now, if we would have shot an elk there and he would have ran downhill, we really hope he would have ran the way that we finally found back to the truck, because we would have never got him back off the other side.
We would have marked him and taken what load we could in once, because it would take, you wouldn't be able to get back up there before sunrise.
Yeah.
I mean, it would, and knowing what we found out later in the evening, he probably wouldn't have been there when we got back.
Yeah. So finish that story.
So, stupidly and aggressively and Eastern hunterly of ourselves, we decide that we're going to go off.
Well, the reason we did is we were committed.
Yep.
I mean, we were committed to that mountain. We're like, we're not leaving now.
Yep.
We've hunted this freaking thing all day.
Yep. And we bomb off, probably go 200 yards. And it's just everything you can do to get every foot downhill.
Yeah.
And finally the elk kind of shut up, and then we see them coasting up the opposing ridge. Mm-hmm. And we're like, oh, man, that's it.
And it's getting dark.
They're gone. So we're like, okay, let's turn around. Well, the 20 minutes it took us to get down that took us an hour, maybe an hour and a half to get back up. We get up, and the sun's dipped below kind of the lowest ridge in the west, and we're like, all right, well, we got to get out of here. We know that we know where the trail is. It's on our map. It's right here. Those guys walk down there. We know it's right there. Mm-hmm. So let's go, right? Well, we get there, and it's not there. We can't find the trail. I mean, I've never really been lost in the woods, and we weren't lost. We knew where we were and where the trail said it was, and we're standing on it, and you just can't find the trailhead.
And we had good service on top of that mountain.
Yep.
So we're like, we know that the GPS isn't off. We've got good service. We know that the trail says it's right here, and we're standing on that spot.
I mean, we were doing the kind of, 45-degree back and forth for 100 yards.
Well, that and fighting.
Never came across the trail.
We'd get there, and there'd be deadfall.
Yeah.
That you couldn't get around. Then we'd hike back up. So you'd go down 200 yards, and it'd take you, 20, 30 minutes to get down. Then it'd take you 30, 45 minutes to get back up 200 yards. And we're like, okay, well, let's go around this way. And then we'd go, try and get around, and there'd be a cliff. And then we'd hike back up. And then we're like, okay, let's go this way. And we tried how many different variations of
6 or 7. And I'm not even like a claustrophobic person, but when we were down in that elk brush, when it got dark, and you could stand still and pick your feet up and you wouldn't fall because you were just compact in there. That's when I was like, okay, this is real. And then you finally get to an open spot and look, and it's a 1,500-foot drop at the edge of your feet, and you're like, all right, this is kind of life-threatening now. This is pretty dangerous.
We're all trying to get through there with one hand.
And we're exhausted.
Both y'all have bows. I've got the camera. We've been doing it for what amounts to an entire day. We ran out of water because we were not planning on spending the night. We didn't have any food. We didn't have, sleeping bags or tents.
It was dire straits.
Because we were 100% not planning on being on the mountain.
And we were dressed for 75 to 80 degrees because that's what it was all day. And we're hunting and walking. We're like, we don't need cold clothes. I mean, we're working our butt off. Mm-hmm. And the spot where I had to kind of put my foot down and had to be the voice of reason, I guess, because I know y'all weren't going to stop. And I was like, okay, somebody's going to have to stop this. I was past the point of exhausted. I know y'all were close to it, if not there. And it's like we were going down the side of that ridge and we were sliding and we couldn't, we weren't going to be able to stop ourselves. And I'm like, let's go find a place to just bed up, build a little fire. And we checked the weather. We still had service. It was going to be in like the 20s that night. So we're like, we have to build a fire.
With the 20-mile-an-hour wind.
Yeah, and then the wind starts blowing and we're like, and this place is dry as a bone. And we're like, we're going to burn this mountain down. So we build a fire about as big as this laptop.
You put in your hands.
Yeah. About as big as this laptop. And we're all just kind of sitting there, just kind of like almost drunk, half drunk, looking at each other.
And we had a couple of tarps, which helped us.
Yeah, thank you, Jesus.
Minimum, we all had the bare minimum of the stuff that you're supposed to take.
Between the three of us, if it had been just two of us, we'd probably been screwed.
Yeah. It would have been. It was a bad situation. It would have been a lot worse.
I won't have that happen to me again.
No. Yeah. If we would have not had that Sitka tarp.
Yeah. Yeah. I told Barclow that. I was like, that freaking Sitka tarp saved our butt that night.
I mean, that was a bad situation. I mean, just building a fire in general, like the primordial attachment to that calms everything.
So essentially what we did, so we're stuck and we're like, okay, this is about probably 11:30 that night. Yep. We finally given it up. Yep. We've been trying to get down the mountain probably less than 500 yards half a dozen times, and we finally gotten exhausted because we go straight down, then climb our way back up, straight down, climb our way back up. So we find one little soft spot with a kind of a little knoll and a hill with a big tree, and we're going to kind of tuck up against this and build our little fire. So we build our little fire. We put the tarp above us to kind of try and hold the heat on top of us, and we're all just kind of lay around it and try and stay warm. And then we're like, all right, we're just going to ride it until the morning. And at that point, there was going to be no problem with anybody sleeping. We were all tired. It was uncomfortable, but we were so tired it didn't matter. We just wanted to stop.
Well, Fire found the only food that we actually had left.
Tuna.
Which was a pack of tuna fish.
Yeah, that was deep down in my pack from the first day that I forgot was in there.
First of all, we're listening to 90s country playlist.
Were we listening to that yet?
No, because I turned that on for a very specific reason. Which we'll get to. But I found that tuna and I was stoked because I was thirsty and it was that tuna in water.
Yeah, moisture, yeah.
And I love tuna. I love tuna.
I mean, we had run out of water at
God, it smelled so bad. So I was already sick at my stomach because I was so tired, and you pulled that tuna. I was like, God, that's terrible.
I offered everybody some tuna, but nobody else wanted some tuna.
I don't know if I've ever been hungry enough to want that tuna.
So we're sitting there, just kind of recapping, what in the world happened.
This sucks so bad.
This is so awful, but hey, you know what? It is what it is. It's a learning experience.
Well, the thing is I've heard of people being stranded on the mountain before. And I'm thinking, how the hell do you get stranded on a mountain, dude? It's like, all you got to do is walk down. No, turns out it's a little easier than you think it is.
It's way easier than you think it is. I mean, being, like I said, pretty capable and pretty good shape,
Well, you know what? Now that I think about it, I kind of blame Ryer. Because we're both from Georgia. He's from Colorado.
He's from Colorado. He should know better.
I could have gotten off the mountain.
He actually had
I could have gotten off the mountain. You guys couldn't get off the mountain, so I had to stay with you guys because there's strength in numbers.
Okay, here we go.
So
I probably could have gotten off.
Your tuna is the reason that we ran into this next situation. I just want to point that out.
We can't confirm that.
Yes,
we can't confirm that.
So
it may seem like that, but I think that
there's strong evidence to suggest.
There's a lot of stuff on like Discovery Channel that would say that was the reason why we had
the tuna
counter. So, anyways, we're sitting there. Wind's kind of whipping. It's starting to get pretty frigid. We're just like,
I just want to sleep.
We're just accepting it. Hands like in your pants, like laying face down in the dirt. Like, this sucks, but I'm not freezing to death, and I'll be all right. And
that kind of cold where you have to like rotate your body because only one side of your body would be warmed by the fire.
Yeah,
it's like you face this way and
we're just like curled around this fire. Like if you can imagine the tarp top, half of the fire is under the tarp top, and then we're just like wedged around the fire.
Yeah, we're trying to get that radiant heat off of the thing just ever so slightly.
But we're sitting there and we hear crunch, crunch.
No, I heard a huffing first. I heard the huff first.
Oh, you heard the huff first.
I heard the huff, and I'm like,
see, I didn't hear that. I just heard crunch, crunch, and we're sitting there. We're all kind of dazed. And I guess you didn't say anything because Ryer goes, guys, I think there's some elk feeding towards us. And I was like, huh? So, yeah, I'm pretty sure I hear elk.
Yeah, because we've got a fire going
and I'm
we're
like, there's
talking.
no way. I mean, because if you can hear it walking, it's got to be.
And the wind's blowing
yeah,
directly towards where we're hearing this.
Yeah, I was like, if you can hear it walking and the wind's blowing the sound away from us, it's got to be pretty close. I'm thinking elk would with a fire. Choo, 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 and it's getting closer, and it's getting closer and louder. And then you start to say, okay, that's a really heavy, big animal. And we got some flashlights, but we're just kind of just sitting there, just trying to play stupid, just trying to not pay attention.
And I flip my headlamp on and do this number, looking around the tree, and I see a head. No crap, looks like it's this big.
He sees eyes that were wider apart than if you put your two fists together. And he goes, that's a bear. That's a bear. And I was like, what?
A big bear.
He goes, that's a big bear. I was like, and I said a lot of explicities at that point. I was like, freaking out.
And essentially all we did was all stand up and just, hey, bear, just as loud as we could.
We had flashlights going off like a discotheque, and then strobe lights. We started kicking the fire and picking stuff up out of the fire, like waving it. I think what saved us, I'm no bear expert, I think what saved us was the fact that we were uphill.
Yeah.
Because it was a steep hill that he was coming up.
Yeah.
And it made us look, as I'm sure with the fire and all three of us, it made us look like.
Well, when he ran off, I remember he runs off, and it's a big lumbering runoff, and it just stops, and it sounds like it's under 100 yards.
And I can hear it snotting.
And we and just stops, and we're looking at each other like, he didn't leave.
No.
Like, he's still there.
Yeah.
So we're for sure sleeping turns into we ain't sleeping no more. And everybody's adrenaline is through the roof. And I remember just being like almost felt whatever a tweaker feels like, just sitting there just like nervous shaking.
I couldn't talk.
Yeah.
My jaw locked up and I was just jackhammering. I mean, I was freezing. But
the only weapon we had was our bows. You sat there with an arrow with a broadhead like you were going to do something with that.
Yeah.
I had a knife.
I was going to do something better than nothing. Sticking an eyeball or something.
So, and when he stopped running, we never heard him again. So we sat there probably until...
You fell asleep about 20 seconds later. You were out cold.
I don't
remember. And Ryer and I think your adrenaline dump
maybe.
That was the rest. That was all you had in the tank. You just...
I just remember waking up about 3 o'clock and the fire's almost out and both of y'all were asleep. Yep. And I'm like just screaming like, man, don't
we
go
were trying
out.
To stay up. Yeah. I was trying. I got on my phone because I knew that we're all tired.
90s country.
And I found an offline Spotify playlist of 90s country. I was like, well, I know for sure none of us want to talk. We're so tired we don't want to talk. So I'm going to put this 90s countries on. At least maybe like he'll hear it and think that there's some commotion up here and won't want to come up here. So we played that on repeat for all night.
Sang a few songs by Reba. And
So at the end of all that, we lived through it. Bear didn't come back. Thank you, Jesus. Daylight came up the next morning, and it's, what would you say to the road? When we walked to the road, how far do you think as a crow flies? Less than a mile and a half?
Yeah, you could see. You could see the landing.
Yeah, it took us, 2.5 hours to go less than a mile?
Almost 3 hours.
Down the mountain.
And there were situations where I was uncomfortable in the daytime. I mean, just getting off that first steep
my
decline.
legs,
I mean, we were like sliding.
My
everywhere.
legs were so gone that next morning. And we get down the mountain and get to the bottom, and Jamey drew the short straw to go back and get the truck. Luckily, thank you, Jesus, we had the Rambo bikes. And he spanked the bikes the whole way there. We planned ahead at least for that, to where we looked
knew where the trail was.
Yeah.
All we had to do was come right off the trail. I mean, how stupid could you be? We couldn't find it.
Just couldn't find it in the dark.
Find it.
But it was
we never found it.
No,
we never found the trail.
Not really.
We found the last 250 yards.
Pieces of it. But I guess we know why the trail's not there is because that was such a hard place to get to. People just stopped using the trail.
That's where the elk are.
Yeah, that's where the elk are. And I guarantee you, if I ever went back, I'd find the gumption to go back over there again because I guarantee you getting the elk. But
I'd take a load up to the top and
I'd freaking bring some horses.
Yeah, that too.
I'm not a fan of horses, but that was a place for a horse if I've ever been to one.
I don't know that you couldn't have gotten a horse in.
You could have at least gotten him. You could have gotten a horse to a spot to where you could have gotten out.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. But that was a trip that I'll never forget. That one ranks at the top. I don't know if one of my favorite hunts, but by far one of my most memorable. And we only had one opportunity at an elk. And that was what on the second day?
First morning.
Second morning. Because remember the first morning we ran into like 37 hunters.
Yeah, we have one. I mean, it's textbook. Probably the reason why we didn't kill him was just my ignorance as an elk hunter, just lack of experience. I busted up further than I should have by about 30 yards.
Yeah.
And got a little too close. He took the wind side, came up that hill, and I saw his about middle of his neck up at about 60 yards and wasn't ready, just.
And then next thing you know, he's in the next zip code.
It took 1 second. He looked and
boom,
gone.
He's gone.
Gone.
Did you see him?
I never saw a hide or hair of an elk that entire trip.
Really?
Not a single time. No, because I was trying probably to get the camera up.
Yeah, you were.
Because he was right here and I'm over here, and at that point I was still trying to run sticks. So I think I was trying to put those out. And the craziest part,
and I keep going back to this, the elk that we got on. From a road, they were probably less than a mile from, they were kind of on this mountain, and there's a road on two sides of these elk that we got into when we had the bear come in. And I'm 95% sure this was a grizzly. If not, it was the biggest black bear that exists. But anyway, those elk were not far from a road. Extremely hard to get to, not far from a road. The elk that we got on, that you saw, how far was that elk from the back of our camp? A mile and a half?
Not far.
Not far at all.
Just down off that first hill.
Yeah, because we ran into him because we're just walking down the road, planning on going further down,
and I bugled in the dark, and he answered us in the dark, and we went straight to him.
And he came straight to us.
Yep.
And I whiffed.
Oh, it was freaking. You couldn't have written in that one any better, other than y'all stopping a little shorter and getting a shot. But I mean,
I didn't even draw. I turned and saw him, and he was stared right at me, and I knew if I drew, he was gone. Yeah. Because he saw me just walking. Yeah. He was like, "What in the hell is that?"
Yeah. But that's how we learned a lot on that trip, if nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, I would say for me, that trip, was just literally that was it. That's what it meant for me. It was just growth and learning. I think anytime you challenge yourself, regardless if it's hunting or whatever, physically, like really have to kind of dig down deep and put yourself in precarious and scary situations. You come out of it. I mean, you're a different person.
Oh yeah.
Your brain perceives things differently. You and if you can constantly feed yourself that stuff. Yeah. Like
that's why I tell people, I've talked to a lot of guys that want to do an elk hunt, but they can't afford an outfitter. They can't do this, that, and the other. And I want you to give me your opinion on this. I tell them, like, look, go do a public land hunt. Go to an area that's, maybe gets hunted a lot or you don't know a whole lot of information about. Probably not going to kill an elk.
Yep.
You might not even see an elk. But what you will gain from going on that trip is worth the cost of admission. It's worth the, $900 tag and then, $1,000, $1,500 to get out there and camp.
Yep.
Just the experience you're going to gain from less than $2,000 of being out west, being a part of the elk, and actually still having an opportunity and hearing an elk bugle in their environment, nothing. You can't put a price on that.
Yeah, I can still remember the first place I was when I heard an elk bugle in the wild. Still.
Same.
Yeah.
First elk,
I can literally go back there in my head.
First elk hunt I did, I was very lucky. I went on a private land hunt. in Colorado, north of Glenwood Springs, and killed an elk, killed a nice 6x6. I've been on 3 other elk hunts that were all public land by myself, or with, without guided. And I mean, they're very low chance on some of those things. A lot of it's me spending time trying to learn, what to do and how to do. I mean, it's just different. I grew up sitting in a, ladder stand or a lock on or climber, whitetail hunting. I mean, that's just what I did. But it's very akin to, they're just like giant turkeys. And for me, turkey hunting, just hearing that turkey gobble when it's still dark outside, that's all that I need. I mean, I'd rather take somebody else hunting and let them experience than even me kill a turkey myself, because it's just, I mean, when we hit that, I mean, that first bugle, second morning, the whole trip was worth it. Not to mention the fact that we saw one and it could have had a shot opportunity and all this. But, I think it's important to say, though, that people that grow up in these areas, they do the same thing. They don't kill an elk every year. They spend the time off season scouting and trail cammering and feeding. I mean, I see my buddies out west that are doing it all the time. They don't kill an elk. They may kill an elk every 2 or 3 years, I mean, it's like killing a big whitetail. I mean, people hunt their whole lives and don't kill a big whitetail. But, for me, it's, of course it's easy to say when you don't kill something that it's more about the experience. But I think if you put yourself in that position, it really does make a lot of sense. And luckily I kill enough whitetails that I can trade out elk meat. So I get my elk meat anyways.
So you're ready to get hurt again?
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've been ready to get hurt.
Yeah.
I had a month to recover from that, and I was ready.
Yeah. I was trying to book a late season hunt and trying to figure out how to get back out there. No, I 100%. I mean, that's kind of what I live for. I mean, that challenge, that adventure, that, I mean, sure. I mean, it's nice to go to nice places and stay in a lodge and do all that stuff. 100, would never turn that down in a million years. But I also like to hike and camp and all that. And if I can mix hunting with that and the kind of survival type feeling associated with, I mean, I live in Buckhead in Atlanta, one of the largest cities in the country, much, and in the Southeast specifically. But like getting out west is, I wish everybody could do it. I think if everybody could do it, it would
make the world a little bit better place.
Make the world a lot better place.
Oh, 100%. So let's get into what we're going to talk about in the podcast now that we're 34 minutes in.
I just thought that since all 3 of us were here, that'd be a good story to tell with all 3 of us.
I planned on telling the story. Yeah. And I figured it'd take that long, which that's fine. I don't care. What I want to talk about with Jamey is, and Jamey kind of, gave you his backstory, and he gave it on the last podcast. He's a business owner, owns, some restaurants, some bars. You own a couple of VitaFlows.
Yep.
So, I want to say he has a lot of responsibilities when it comes to creating content for what he does. And then he's also a hunter and outdoorsman like we are. And then we handle a lot of content creation on our side. And I wanted to kind of see how those 2 roads intersect, and then also dive in even a little deeper into what it means to add value, because Jamey has dipped his toe into the outdoor space a little bit, done some stuff with Everly Stock, Black Rifle. You've obviously done some stuff with us, and you kind of see how that world works. You know how your world works. And I want to kind of get into a couple subjects that we talked about before, and I gave you some notes last night, and I obviously want to get what Ryer thinks too. But as a business owner, because we get this question a lot for guys that want to get into the hunting industry, that want to either figure out how to get a job, to get some free products, to get discounts on things, whatever the case may be. And our number one piece of advice for those guys are, you've got to figure out a way to add value.
Yep.
When you hear add value, what does that mean to you?
Well, it means a lot of things, and it can be interpreted a bunch of different ways depending upon what you're talking about. I mean, look at our turkey hunt. We tell people you got to add value, right? So if you're going to ask somebody if you can hunt on their land, which is what we did, we literally knocked on doors to find a place to shoot a turkey. We have to be willing to, offer something.
Yeah.
Have a bartering chip. That's the way you can add value. I think the way it pertains to like my world and for someone trying to get into the space, the 2 words that I really try to focus on are quality and like efficiency. but you can add value through relationships. You can add value through increased communication. I mean, whatever you have a skill set in, try to get good at it and try to use that as your value add. I mean, I've been racking my brain because hunting is such an important piece of my life. I have this just urge to be in this environment. I think that I can add value and legitimately, and when you sent me the notes, I was super freaking stoked because I've been trying to figure this out for like the last 2 years, is how do I add value in the outdoor space? I'm not a Olympic archer. I'm not a fitness freak that can run up and down the mountains. I don't live out west, so I don't have like places to hunt. I don't know how to run a camera, so I can't provide, quality content. Mm-hmm. I'm not the most knowledgeable hunter out there. I haven't experienced a lot of different hunts. So it's like, what is my value add? And what I'm coming around to figuring out, and we're actually going to start it this fall, and it's something that I want to get you guys involved with, is just creating more hunters. And this is going to go into a whole bunch of different subjects, but how many podcasts, how many Instagram accounts, how many YouTube accounts look at this awesome hunt that we went on, right? This is how we did it. Go do it. There's a gap, right? There's a gap between telling someone how to do something and showing them how to do it.
Yeah.
Right? You can read every business book on how to be the best leader. You can read every book there's ever been written on shooting free throws. And I don't know that there have been very many, but
yeah,
that's not going to make you a better free throw shooter.
Yeah.
You have to practice it. And my goal that I'm trying to formulate my head around is, how do I create more hunters? Because that's what's going to make this thing last forever.
Yeah, for sure.
You got to have more hunters, because more hunters equals more money into conservation. More money into conservation obviously just elongates, and propagates the hunting industry.
Yeah.
So that's what I think my value add is going to be. So I've already signed up and put down, actually literally right here in my notebook from a meeting yesterday, is 5 people taking 5 people that have never been hunters. So 5 hunters taking 5 people that have never been hunting next year. This fall. That's my goal for whitetail. I'm going to get those 5 guys down on my farm. They're going to bring 5 people. We're going to hunt. We're hopefully going to harvest a couple does. We're going to clean them. We're going to cook them. We're going to have that camaraderie, that kind of, like the ability to sit down and share food
that you've
harvested.
Yeah.
It is such a weird and inexplicable, for me it's inexplicable. I just maybe I don't have the vocabulary. But I'm in the restaurant business. So me sharing my food with someone is a passion of mine anyways. And I think that, again, just like going outdoors, I think that if you can share food with people and sit down and put the phones away and have a conversation over dinner, I think that would benefit our country and our world a lot. And there's tons of studies that show that if you sit down and have dinner as a family, the benefits of that. But if you can have a group of guys that have never experienced that before, harvest an animal, sit down, cook it, just learn from each other and communicate and build relationships and bonds. The bonds in a hunting camp are the strongest that I've ever been a part of.
Yeah,
same
for sure.
As, a football team or a basketball team. And I played all those sports, and, it's the same. It's really
it's hard to get as pumped up as when you're successful on a hunt. I mean, the first hunt successful we ever did was that turkey hunt that kind of happened almost on accident. Yeah, but like, dude, I was jacked when we killed that turkey.
And I did a high kick.
Yeah, and I know
I did a Van Morrison high kick.
Yeah, you did. And that hunt shouldn't. I mean, that was fate that morning. That was just, it happened like it was supposed to. But that was the first time we'd ever really, quote unquote, hunted together.
Yep.
And we were successful by 9 a.m. the first morning. It's like, okay, I can get used to this.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. But what you're saying though,
and it's all been disappointment from there.
Yeah, no doubt.
A lot of effort and lack of results.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We had a really good time in Nebraska.
Yeah, yeah.
Other than the train was pretty miserable. We've had some really storybook moments, you and I, Jamey. You know what?
That's the point.
Yeah,
that's the point, though. I mean, sure. Again, you can pay $10,000 and go stay in a badass ranch and kill a big ass elk and And there's nothing wrong with that. And I will do that when I have the funds to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't now.
Exactly.
And, there's also the mystique and the adventure and the challenge of doing it yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
but even if you drill down to it to where take somebody and getting back to what we're talking about adding value, you found a way and you were honest with yourself to say, okay, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses.
Not a lot of strengths, a lot of weaknesses.
And I think that's the majority of people.
But my strength is people.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So
that's the strength.
And so if you're listening to this and you're trying to find a way to add value, and it might not be in the hunting world, it might be in your business, it might be in your family, it might be in your whatever the case may be, you got to have an honest conversation with yourself. What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? And say, hey, I'm really good at carpentry, or I'm really good at communication, or I'm really good at fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Figure out how you can take your strength and add value to what your goal is, and go from there. I mean, it's that simple.
Focus on what you have and build on that. Don't focus on what you don't have or what you can't get.
And then I think a little piece of advice I could give in that realm is I get this a lot with, in this business is we do video production and photography. That's generally at the very base and core of what we do. But we also do graphic design. We also do, motion graphics. We have done some website stuff. We've done all those things. Are we good at those things? No, but we know people that are. And I'm one of those people that say, okay, I know that we are really good at producing great content. We are not the best at motion graphics, so I have somebody that I sub that out to.
Absolutely.
Because I know what I'm good at. I'm not going to try and make $500 on something that's going to take me a week when I could hand it to somebody and can do it in an hour and I'll make $200. Okay, it's fine with me.
100%.
It's like, stay in your lane, know what you're good at. Now, don't discount the fact that you're going to learn things along the way, and you might get better at something that you're not good at now. But just take into account what you're good at and what you're not good at.
Well, I think a question for both of you, is to flip this on its head is there's a lot of really good content creators out there. There's a lot of incredible photographers and videographers in the outdoor space. Why do some of the bigger and better names use you guys? And I would say I think it's because of your value add of communication.
Yeah.
You do what you say you're going to do, when you say you're going to do it, how you say you're going to do it.
We do all the little things well.
Right. And you don't hamstring a project for a month because you're trying to make your own graphic.
Yeah.
When you can hire somebody to do it. And it's like, hey, let's make a little bit less of this much bigger pie than make all of the pie of this really small.
We just try and approach things with common sense. Like yesterday, we had a client that wanted some changes. Did we agree with the changes? No. But the client wants the changes. I said, Ryer, are the changes going to take you a long time? No. Is it going to, add a lot to the time or the length of the video or whatever? He's like, no. I was like, all right, well, let's do it. But we've got to use common sense to where it's like, okay, this is going to take us 2 more days to do it. We don't have 2 more days right now. We don't have a half a day right now. So we have to approach things with common sense. And when we do that, and you take into account, I think another thing that people don't take into account, like for us anyway, is we have clients that have been there since the very beginning for us. And we're adding some really big clients right now. But I'm also going to make sure my new clients know, these smaller clients, they're who got us here. Mm-hmm. And they're still there, and we're not going to do stuff for them. So, we have deadlines for them, and we'll have to work your stuff in around that. And if you're not cool with that, then I guess, we should not work together. Yep. But at the same time, it's like there's value in the little client and there's value in the big client.
Yep.
And and answer your phone.
Yeah,
it's pretty freaking easy, man.
Yeah, I know. There's nothing worse. I would say, kind of going back to the original question, I mean, there's adding efficiency, making people's lives easier.
Which we talked about at breakfast, how we wanted to do that.
Yeah, there's being a good communicator. There's adding quality to whatever it is, a project or a video or an experience. Customer relations. I think that's a huge value add. But I think the biggest thing that people get bogged down on is a lot of the times just being yourself and being just cool.
Like,
and I don't mean like trying to be a cool guy, but just like not trying to be somebody that you're not. Like that's a pretty big value add. Like people can most people have a pretty good bullshit meter.
mm-hmm.
And if you're, trying to be somebody that you're not, people don't want to be around that. And
well, I think a lot of guys that are wanting to get into this business and they're asking how they can add value, the one hiccup they have is more than anything, they want to see themselves in the content.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned a long time ago that me being on camera is not where the money was, or not where any of the good stuff was. Is if I wanted to have a job where I got to hunt for a living, it wasn't going to be in front of the camera. And I'm not saying everybody that wants to be in this industry should be a producer, because then we'd be out of business. But what I'm saying is, if the only thing you want, and you got to be honest with yourself about this, if the only thing you want is to see yourself in pictures and in Instagram posts and in videos, then by all means, go for it. But that is a really, really tough row to hoe.
Mm-hmm.
Just because that is hugely competitive, and to be truly a standout on-camera personality takes a very, very special person. And I would venture to guess you can get better at it, but it's a God-given talent a lot of the time.
Well, I think if you have to do that, you said it, you have to commit. You have to put out 10 pieces of content every single day.
And you got to be honest.
For years.
And you've got to be honest with yourself to say, look, I want to be on camera.
Yep.
And that's fine.
Yep.
I'm a guy that doesn't. I'm not the guy that wants to be on all hunts. Do I like to hunt? Yes. Do I care if the camera's there? Nah, not really.
Yeah.
And I have a couple clients that they do want to be on camera. I have a couple clients that don't really care if they're on camera, but they absolutely should be on camera.
Right.
Chuck Belmore, God, I love him to death. That guy was born to be in front of a camera.
He's a comedian.
Yeah. And so, but there are very few of those.
Yeah.
And you got to be honest whether or not you've got the personality to do it. And I know I don't.
Right.
I'm really good at talking about 3 subjects: my kids, baseball, and filming hunts. Outside of that, I'll fake it till I make it, man.
You're good at what you're good at.
Yeah, you're good at what you're good at. But like, you want to talk about cooking or something else, I'll be like, I like to eat. That's about all the value.
He can't even decide what other thing to talk about. That's how little he knows about all the other
things.
things.
Truly,
if you want to talk about
other
like
things,
not filming hunts, I probably can't do
that.
Oh,
dude, I met a guy the other day. We were sitting down and we were having dinner, and he was in the dinner party we were with. I was like, hey, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I work in commercial HVAC. I was like, cool, man. Yeah. It's like, so what do you do? He's like, oh, well, I like to go to breweries and watch football. I'm like, we have nothing in common. All right, moving on.
I like cold houses.
I was like, he's like, do you?
I like my air
yeah, he's like, I was like, do you hunt? He's like, not really. I was like, fish? No. I was like, okay, well, let's find someone else to talk to, because we literally have nothing to talk about. And maybe I'm a butthole, but I just didn't have anything to talk to him about. But yeah, no, I agree.
I mean, you could learn more about breweries, maybe.
Really.
I mean, that's a very low entry.
There's like 5 things that are like pretty easy to be knowledgeable about.
Somebody could, you need to go to a brewery and just like have a couple of beers, and then for the rest of your life, you could be like, oh yeah, I went to this one brewery and had a dark beer and I really like that. And then they'll talk about beers for 20 minutes.
But that would be a lie.
Yeah.
I'll get them to drink a dark beer one of these days.
No, Ryer, all beer tastes like horse piss.
That's not true.
All of it.
That's a lie.
It is.
That would be called a opinion.
Yeah, no, it's
You're
terrible.
not allowed to have those in this day and age.
Yeah, so, all right, so the other thing we want to talk about is what do you think are some skills, and I think this goes into all facets of business. It doesn't count for the outdoor space. I mean, you know this in the restaurant business. What are some things that are skills that are just timeless that you can?
Well,
nunchuck skills.
Yeah, karate
skills
for sure.
Yeah, Donnie Baker's in the chips.
But no, I think that anything that's related to specialization in content and digital marketing is going to be a skill that's only going to become more and more value. And the beautiful thing about those skills is everything that you need to learn is online, and a majority of it is free, and the rest of it is really cheap.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a website called Udemy, udemy.com. They have thousands of courses on how to do anything on the computer, and they're like $9 a piece.
Yeah.
You've got Adobe tutorials that come with the software.
YouTube.
You can learn how to do anything online.
Yeah.
You can learn how to build
There's
websites.
no excuse to be uninformed anymore.
Right.
There's so many podcasts that give away so much information. Like our podcast, we give it all away.
I mean, being able to, one thing that I really wish I was better at, and it's stupid that I'm not, because I spend so much time outdoors and I always film stuff and take pictures, and I love a good hard picture is actual photography. And it's stupid that I'm not better at it, but that's something that, people want to have those memories. They want to have something on their wall or on their bedside table that reminds them of that thing every day.
Yeah.
Content creation, whether you're a copywriter or you're a photographer, videographer, that content's king, right?
Oh gosh.
And
more now than ever, and it's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah. And it's to a point now where if you want to be even heard just through social media because of the algorithms and just how much content's out there, you got to put something out there every day. I can see on my personal Instagram, it's nothing big, but like when I put stuff out multiple times every day through stories or actual posts or whatever, I get more followers. And obviously my impressions are 10 times, if not. And it's like, that's just the name of the game. So, I think that another aspect, another way to look at it, which goes back to the adding value, those are all hard skills, right? Soft skills are what we coach and teach and preach and hire for in our organizations. Character, competency, honesty, integrity, being able to communicate, being able to build relationships. Those are soft skills. And a lot of the times, those are innate things that you can't learn from a book.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's hard to know something about one of those soft skills about somebody until you spend a lot of time with them.
Exactly. And again, same thing with, are you planning or are you practicing? Are you studying or are you acting, right? You can read every book on leadership, but it's not going to make you a better leader until you go through those hard times where you have to make hard decisions and tough times to really be able to develop yourself as a leader. And someone who has taken initiative on that and really worked on themselves are generally going to be pretty good in the workforce. So that's one thing we say. One of our things is we hire for character over competency. I can teach you how to flip a burger. I can teach you how to drop fries. I can teach you how to serve people. I can teach you how to run a restaurant. I can teach you how to do pretty much anything, right? We're humans. That's what we're built for, to learn how to do things. But if you can't communicate or you're a liar or you can't show up on time or you can't work hard, you're going to have a hard time working for us.
Character is one of the things. My dad used to say this my whole life. He's like, character's something it takes your entire life to build, but 5 minutes to lose.
So we say same with trust, is it's earned in drops and lost in buckets, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You can do something right your whole life, but you go out and make that one fatal mistake on accident and your reputation's tarnished for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And generally that is a result of decisions.
And really hard to recover from in a lot of people's cases. I'm sure people can think of examples in their mind of things that have happened in their life, either personally or, in the media or whatever. Think somebody's one way and they find out something that's done about them. You're like, yeah, they're not getting a second chance. And that's some people, whether some people deserve a second chance or not, not my position to say, but it's it's tough. And it's one of those things to where it's a decision you've got to make with yourself every single day. All right, am I going to be that trustworthy, character driven person? Because there's, in this world now, it's really easy to not be that person.
You're actually incentivized not to be that person. Generally, when you are that person that does the right thing, it costs you something.
Yeah.
It costs you something. In the long run, obviously honesty is the best policy, as they say. It's in the long run, that's what really makes a difference. But I think as far as a timeless, insanely valuable traits, honesty, integrity, character, you just can't replace those things, man. If I know that I can leave $1,000 on the bedside table and I can leave you there with it for a week and know that if I come back, it's going to be there. Yeah. It may actually be organized and folded the right way.
Yeah.
You can't replace that. You cannot replace somebody that you can trust.
Yeah. It all comes down to just don't be an asshole. Be a good person, and that's hard.
Said than done
exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth. Literally what I was going to say. because there's a lot of stupidity in this world.
Well, I mean, I'm not a perfect person.
No,
obviously.
nor am
Anybody
I.
that's ever met me knows I'm not a perfect person.
Yeah.
And no one is. But, I mean, I work daily on that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I work daily. I meditate, I journal. I pray every night when I go to bed. I focus on things that I've done that are wrong to try and figure out how to do them better the next time. And, again, I'm going to make multiple mistakes every single day. But how can I just get a little bit better every day?
A little bit better every day. So, all right, next thing I want to talk about is content.
Yeah.
So I would consider you more of a quote unquote typical consumer than say we are, because generally the things that we consume are going to be on the tech side and on the hunting side. Spoiler alert, we generally don't have to buy those things a lot of the times. We're usually either given those things or we get discounted stuff. So we usually buy what our clients use and we know what works, and we're not afraid to spend some money on some good gear because we use and test our gear. You are a consumer. You generally have to buy everything that you get, and you consume content that affects that decision-making process. So first thing, what kind of content do you consume? Like, what is your go-to?
I consume anything that, and this is very broad, but anything that I can use as an angle to better myself. Right. So
give me some specific examples.
So Brandon Lilly.
Yeah.
Works for Sorinex, was a world record, power lifter. Dude is on day 390 something in a row of kind of rebuilding himself every single day. He's a fitness guy, workout dude. I follow his workouts. I do his workouts. That's positive stuff going into my brain every day. John Dudley, constant archery knowledge.
He's got kind of a dick.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I
hope he hears this.
Awesome dude. But no, like watching him, Aaron Snyder.
Yeah.
Dude's just assassin.
Finally got on Rogan. He finally got on Rogan.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Right. I'm a learner. I constantly am seeking knowledge. I'm just constantly trying to change my perspective.
I think Joe Rogan is a perfect example because I say this, and anybody listening to this knows who Joe Rogan is. I hope you do. If you don't, you live under a rock. But
if you're listening to a podcast and you don't know who Joe Rogan is, I'm flabbergasted.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this podcast instead of Joe Rogan,
sense.
Go listen to it. Stop right now. Listen to Rogan and then come back.
Yeah. So anyway, Rogan's a perfect example for me because, and I think this is also something that world lacks right now, is an open mind, because Rogan is one of those guys that he believes in a lot of things that I don't believe in. He has stances on things that I disagree with him with, but I still can learn so much from someone like him that has such an open mind to everything.
Go back to what you said just a minute ago. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan is not an asshole.
Yeah,
Joe Rogan's an insanely respectful and nice and knowledgeable and educated and well-rounded individual.
Oh, yeah.
And when somebody looks at you and talks to you like that as a human and has empathy towards you and says, okay, I don't believe what you're saying. I do not agree with that, but you're a pretty good person. So agree to disagree.
Yeah.
And we've gotten to a point with cancel culture now where it's just like anything you say or anything you do, if it's not in line with this group or that group or whatever, like, you need to go to hell.
Yeah.
Like, and that is when we lose the ability to have that civil discourse, we're in a bad state, and I think that's why I'm always listening to those type of people.
So what are some video platforms that you might follow, or series or anything? Do you do a lot on the video side?
No, mostly podcasts, because I do it when I'm working out
or
when I'm running or when I'm in the car or something. I do watch a lot of YouTubes on BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, for those of you who don't know what that means.
Why'd you look at me? I knew what that meant.
Yeah, well, we don't know. You're looking at me kind of funny. No,
you were talking, so I was looking at you while you were talking.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a martial arts. It's mostly ground game, grappling, kind of like wrestling. And so it's a very visual sport, right? So I'm on YouTube watching that all the time, and I'll generally work on a move for a month. So I'll watch every video I can find on that one move, so I can see all the different complexities of it. Obviously, Dudley's archery knock-on series.
School of
Knock. I mean, holy crap. I've been putting it all over social media. Not that anyone follows me or anyone's seen it, but I got the knock to it, and I'm on week 6. I started on Wednesday. Yeah, so 6 started Wednesday. I mean, my groupings and my comfortability and my draw sequence is like a different ball game now. I mean, I'm dropping 50 and 60 yard shots, like just easy. But watching the video and anything that needs visual accompaniment, like that's when I'm watching on video.
Yeah.
And then of course, like I've watched all kind of stuff with, outdoor, anything to do with the outdoors, climbing, hiking.
So what
camping.
about outside of hunting? What do you watch for entertainment? Do you?
Yeah. Alone.
Alone? I haven't watched that yet.
Oh my God. It's the best show
really?
on TV. It's a history channel.
Yeah.
These dudes are put out in like the remote places, like most remote places ever.
Yeah. Listen to the podcast, Rogan's podcast about the guy that won it. I listened to that one.
It's insane. It's incredible.
And isn't it just the last person to leave who wins
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
You don't know.
He only
when the
made
other
it
people
it was like 70 something days and dude won. I'm like, really? I thought it would be like 6 months.
Caleb, they're in like Antarctica.
Well, I mean, still.
With 10 items.
Yeah.
No food.
Yeah.
But anyways, no. I watch that and then I watch Food Network. Pretty much it.
Yeah.
I cook a lot. Own restaurants. Go figure. It's one of my passions. It's one of those things that I think if we can share food across the table from other people and sit down and just have conversations and listen to people, it changes your perception. I mean, any engagement you have with someone else that you give their attention to them, you're going to have your perception change, even if it's just a miniature amount. That's pretty much it. Food Network, cooking stuff, jiu-jitsu. Obviously, I read a ton of books, and most of them are related to leadership, business, personal development, the outdoors, or hunting. I mean, it's kind of where I'd like to keep myself. Yeah. Constantly kind of keeping those plates spinning, sharpening those sticks.
So next question is one that we haven't talked about yet, and I've honestly kind of avoided talking about it, but I know our listeners are going to know what we're talking about. I think you, kind of like the Rogan thing, you've been under a rock if you don't. But I figured you would be the best person to ask because owning bars and restaurants, one of the ways that you advertise a bar and a restaurant is good-looking ladies, because that's the way that people come in there, when you got good-looking girls. Yep. I mean, why did anybody go to a bar is to find a chick? Or in the girls' version, find a dude, vice versa. So obviously in the hunting world, we have this, I don't even know if you call it a trend, of huntresses.
It's a trend.
So there's a handful of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll cut to it.
Okay.
I think it's a good thing.
You think it's a good thing? Which part of it?
Any PR is good PR, right?
Okay.
Anytime you can get eyes.
Ready? Fight.
Yeah. Anytime you can get eyes on an industry, a product, anything that you're trying to promote or get out there, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing to show that, hey, girls that, actually, dress up and wear makeup and all that can go hunting and kill an animal. Now, I think that...
But they have...
hold on. That's from the consumer side.
Okay.
Right? Now, from the hunting side, from the interior side, I think some of it's a little bit ridiculous. And I think that people doing it strictly for love or likes, okay?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But how many followers do those people have that aren't hunters?
Well, see, this is what I'm getting at, is essentially we have a handful of these quote unquote huntresses, like your Lee and Tiffany, your Tiffany, your Melissa Bachman.
Interesting.
You've got a handful of these chicks that are legit as they come.
Yep.
And they've also been there since the beginning. Jana Waller. They've been there since the beginning. Yep. They're OG. They're doing it for the right reasons. They're getting women into the sport. 100% on board with that. Tiffany's one of my favorite people in the world. One of the hardest working humans ever met in my life. She's also a spitfire, man. I love that girl. Then you have the TNA. Yeah. That is involved with this. That is there purely for two things. Numbers and to get a girl's face on there. Yep. Just, I guess, for those numbers, so really one reason. Most of them aren't actually hunting or doing much of it other than there just to get some social media, then they're going back to the house. Or, is there value in those numbers?
100%. But let me ask you this, because I think is it your perception as a hunter that it's not good for? Or is it what other people perceive hunting as that you're worried about?
I think it's
because for me, I don't give a shit.
I don't either.
Doing,
okay, I don't either, but I'm looking at it as a whole as like, okay, as the sport essentially dwindles,
right?
It's getting smaller.
Right.
Is that the light is that the way we want to paint the sport to grow it?
Well, that's not the only way. Absolutely not. I think that there is value in putting people's eyes on hunting.
Even if it's using TNA to do it?
Well, what industry doesn't use TNA to do it? Sex sells, right?
Oh, 100%.
Always has and always will.
But is it selling? That's what I'm getting to. Is it selling products?
Oh, it's 100% selling products.
You think it's selling products?
If it didn't sell products, they wouldn't exist, right? They exist because they.
So you think a girl sitting on a Yeti cooler in a bikini on a hunting type post is selling Yeti coolers?
Absolutely.
You do?
Absolutely. If they weren't, it wouldn't exist.
Just inherently.
I wouldn't give, and I don't want to say any specific names, but I wouldn't give some of these people, guys or girls, discount codes to put out over social media if I didn't get a return from that. I know about Blue Otter sunglasses because of
TNA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 or 4 of these,
That is true.
Yeah,
I drink.
That is true.
I know
that
about.
Is true. I would have never heard of. That's just straight facts. I would have never heard of Blue Otter sunglasses had it not been for the few huntresses.
Bang Energy.
Bang Energy, yeah.
Which is.
But I can see Bang Energy. I can see that. I see it for bars and restaurants.
But no, Bang Energy is a fitness energy drink. What does TNA have to do with fitness?
A lot. I think about TNA.
I mean, I get
when associated with fitness. I think like CrossFit's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of put those in the same category, but not hunting.
Yeah, but there's a difference, I think, between mass appeal that like you could take a energy drink brand, maybe like Brian really likes the Celsiuses.
They're
right?
delicious,
and you can get them at gas stations. The only reason I know that Celsiuses existed is because I saw Brian drinking one. As opposed to the mass market appeal that Bang has because of how they've marketed it. They took like Monster's approach to it and was like, we can do this more and better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they blew it up.
Where they had TNA and motorcycles, we're going to do TNA and TNA.
So you said, so
like,
the question you
I
asked,
see your TNA and
I raise you
triple it.
Yeah, here's triple TNA.
Yeah.
So your question
and you've seen how their growth over the past year.
Gosh.
It's been insane.
Yeah.
So is your question based in numbers as far as for those products, or numbers as far as creating new hunters or bringing people into the hunting space, or eyes on hunting?
I want to see where you think that number is growing the most. Is it growing more in exposure, people to hunting,
certainly
sales?
Exposure.
I think it's exposure and sales. I don't know that it's creating new hunters, and in fact, I think that is where the damage can be done.
Can it be is it doing more harm than it is good?
I have no idea, man. I couldn't tell you that. I know that there's been more TNA and there's less hunters, but correlation doesn't mean causation.
Yeah.
I would say that there are specific ways that storytelling and communicating the art and beauty of hunting obviously attaches emotion to hunting versus grins.
I also think that's bullcrap too, but that's just my opinion. I think that I have very strong opinions on a lot of this, but in Ryer smirking, he knows.
I was smirking because you said you have strong opinions. I thought you were going to just stop there. I have very strong opinions. Yes, Caleb, you do.
I see a little value. I don't see the value in the scale in which it's being put out there, and I honestly see it being scaled back a little bit right now.
Oh, it was you said trend earlier, and I think that word very accurately describes it. I think influencers in general on social media are losing massive amounts of ability to persuade people, because there's so much out there. I mean, every third post on my Instagram feed now is an ad anyways. Mm-hmm. So you mix that in with half the people you follow are ambassadors for products.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you've got ad, product placement, sponsored post, your friend from home and their children, something that you want to see actually ad. It's just like, you're like, blah, blah, blah. It's like thumbs getting a workout, trying to get through that. But why else would someone have, 450,000 followers? Well, there wasn't value there.
I don't know, man. I've had this conversation.
And why would companies keep providing them with that sponsorship and that money?
Because they're giving them numbers. They're getting numbers. They're getting exposure, and people sell against numbers. I know that's how the game is.
Well, I would say another thing too to think about is Instagram is they still haven't, in my opinion, figured out how to drive sales through Instagram. It's gotten a lot better with some of the most recent updates, but they just aren't. Facebook is the absolute master of converting sales.
Yeah.
Through online advertising.
Instagram sold me a couple things.
Well, yeah.
Really
we've all bought a couple stupid things off Instagram. But my point being is that, Ambassador X putting out Blue Otter polarized sunglasses over and over and over and over and over. I'm never buying a pair of Blue Otter polarized sunglasses.
Yeah, that was the point that I was wanting to make just a second ago, is that even though I know that Blue Otter sunglasses exist, and I have two things I want to say about that. One, I've never once thought about buying them.
Right.
Two, I would say personally, I am less likely to want to buy those sunglasses because I feel like, and I know nothing about the sunglasses, I know nothing about the company,
right,
but I feel like they probably are not a quality product because they have to rely on that type of marketing to sell their stuff. Well, and it seems gimmicky to me. It feels gimmicky.
Let me ask you the inverse, because I said the same thing about Bang Energy. I said it's called Bang Energy. It's the dumbest shit I've ever heard of in my life. And look who's promoting it. This is embarrassing.
That's
true.
Then
I had one, and I look at the ingredient list, and I say, wow, this is a rocket fuel in a can, but it's actually got some decent stuff in it. It's not good for you. Energy drinks are bad for you, but if you're going to drink them, at least have a quality one. And then you start looking at the actual product and say, oh, it's actually not that bad of a product,
Yeah, I had the same
I wouldn't
journey.
buy Blue Otter sunglasses unless I saw somebody that was wearing a pair of Blue Otter sunglasses, and I got to try them on, and I got to see what they feel like. I got the $50 sun clouds, made by Polaroid. I think they're they're polarized. They're super lightweight. They stay on your head, et cetera, et cetera. That's just what I buy. I know, and I get them from the same place every time I break a pair. That's just the way I think anything to do with style is really personalized.
Yeah, anything with gear. If I don't know someone that's used it that can give me their opinion, or if I haven't had personal experience with it myself.
Okay, now put yourself in the shoes, which this is probably impossible, but just try to think of what a 18-year-old female that just went to her first hunting convention, trade show, seeing all this stuff. She starts following one of those huntresses, which will remain unnamed, and sees these sunglasses. Mm-hmm. She's going to go buy them.
Yeah.
Because she's like, oh, well, I want to be like her. That's what this person wears. They must be quality.
She's got a lot of followers.
And I guess we might be outside of the demographic that they're wanting to appeal to.
Well,
because the way that we get marketed to is by other people in the industry and talking.
Well, I think about how I was marketed to before I got into this industry, when I was still a straight up consumer, and it was by what I watched, man. No, like 100%. Before I started doing this and learned the ins and outs and what companies were good, what companies were bad, and products were good, products were bad. I'll never forget, I bought a scent blocker suit because the Bone Collector guys wore them. 100%. Yep. And that's what everybody around me had, and that's why they had it. And I'm like, well, if they have one, I have to have one.
So there's your answer.
Yeah, But that was also when before I was in the industry, before I was young and dumb, and I consumed everything through the Outdoor Channel and Sportsman Channel. Because, YouTube was around, but it wasn't like it is now, So I think about, and what I'm thinking about, like the last thing that I bought because of something I watched, was probably I ordered some of those MeUndies from Rogan, and I really like them.
Do you?
Yes, I do like them a lot. Because I've always worn the same pair of underwear for like the last 5 years.
That's
I'm
gross. You realize that, right?
Well, same brand. Okay. And I couldn't find anything that was like, okay, yeah, those suck. And I wear them one time and throw them away. I'm like, yeah, those are terrible. And I was like, these are like guaranteed. But I was like, they're $20 a piece.
Well,
like,
here's the thing though. Like I invest in and stand behind and work with products that I believe in. Right. Black Rifle Coffee. People, oh, it seems like it's a gimmicky name. Like all these people have. Well, try it because it's the best coffee that I've had.
You walk around with a Black Rifle shirt
every time I wear a shirt like this or a hat like this in public. Somebody says something.
Yep.
Whether they're like, "Do you like that coffee? That's great coffee.
Yeah.
I like their stuff.
Every time
I love those guys."
Every time I put something on my story about Black Rifle, they're like, "Man, is that shit? Is it real? Is it legit?" I'm like, "Well, the fact that it was roasted like 5 days ago and it's still got the oil all in the beans." Yeah, it's legit. It's absolutely.
Every time
those
I
guys
go
are coffee freaks.
Every time I go through the airport,
no
less than 2 or 3 people, and I've never had a negative comment about it ever. It's been a question about is it good or I love that stuff.
And when you have a product like that,
but have you ever had any other product that you've been associated with that has that kind of response? I haven't.
I mean, not a consumer product. No.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like,
no, I mean, because there's haters in every.
Like you wear a Sornex hat or a Sitka hat or a Real Tree or whatever the case may be. I've never had that kind of response that I'll have.
People. Well, but they've created emotional connection with the brand because it's the hire 10,000 veterans and those are really really awesome 100% awesome stuff. I mean, I think it's a brand versus a coffee company now.
100%.
They crush it.
Going to do, I think we're right at $100 million this year or something stupid. $100 million in coffee.
Mucho dinero.
Good for them, man. That's awesome. No better people that could happen to, too.
Work for it.
Heck yeah.
No question about that.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, I think the last thing I wanted to talk about was we kind of talked about what your elk plans and deer plans are. You're still possibly working on a late season elk, and I know you've got the new property, and we might go to Oklahoma type for deer this year.
Yeah, I'm going to do Oklahoma, I'm pretty sure. I've got a mule deer hunt with the guys from Brandon Lilly, Derek Woodski, a couple other guys are going out to Big Chino Outfitters in Arizona.
Nice.
Mule deer hunting.
January?
That's August.
August.
So
it's coming.
We're getting close.
Yeah, it is coming. Big time.
Pretty stoked on that. First mule deer hunt ever. I'm a specific mule deer hunt. I've been on, several hunts where you could
had a bonus tag.
Could have taken a mule deer. Actual whitetail hunting, obviously here in Georgia. We've got a farm that we've been working on, and I've got that plan to take 5 new people hunting, and that's something that I'm pretty stoked on.
Yeah, if we're here, I want to help with that. Okay. Even if it's just taking somebody. I don't care nothing about hunting. I just like to go.
Yeah, and that's the plan. I want to slowly at some point morph it into kind of a mentorship program.
Yeah, kind of like the thing you did, which I didn't get to go to that. It was a leadership thing that you did earlier. Was it this year that you did that? Where y'all went to the river and did something?
Oh yeah, that was. I just took about 8 guys out, did a little leadership exercise for like 2 or 3 hours one day, but really just trying to get people out in the outdoors. Mm-hmm. Buddy Baker, everyone probably knows, works with Cortland Line. They gave me a really, really good deal on a bunch of fly rods and all that stuff. So got everybody some fly rods and some flies, and we ride on a fly fishing river, and taught people how to cast a fly rod. And I'm again no professional, but I can do it. And took our bows out there, took a hatchet, taught people how to throw hatchets. Just again disconnect to reconnect with each other.
Yeah.
So much communication now is through text or Instagram that like having a face-to-face conversation and me cooking food for people. It's just it's a passion of mine. So
all right. What I want to end on is something else. I have a Ryer. I want you to answer this too.
Yeah, I saw that question and I'm not prepared. I don't have a good answer.
Well, I'm going to ask Jamey first because he's had more time to prepare. And I'm literally going to read it verbatim off my thing so I don't screw it up. If money was no object and you could create a series and or a film, what would it be about and why?
I think
this is a question we need to start asking everybody, by the way.
Yeah, mm-hmm. This is the series. It would be a series, and I think it's the storytelling aspect of exactly what I was just talking about, is taking somebody you know, whether it's an inner city kid or somebody that has never really been in the outdoors, never been hunting, and go through the process of teaching them about nature, teaching them how to respect the animals, teaching them how, you know, conservation dollars and how it works, and showing them all that our country has to offer as far as, you know, possibly the best national park system in the country. I mean, in the world. Mm-hmm. And people just don't have any idea about it. And I am a firm believer that if you take someone through that cathartic process of learning about an animal to consuming that animal that you harvested, that, you know, some people it's not going to be for, and they're going to say, okay, yep, I saw you shoot that animal. I'm totally against
some people
that.
are going to go head over heels.
Fine. And some people are going to fall into it. But I think connecting people with where their food comes from and showing them, you know, how to sit down and prepare that food and share it with each other, I think that is a series that, for me, all the content that I see out there are one of two things, basically. And it's, look at this awesome adventure I did and this animal that I killed, and that's really cool. And then it's, you know, the Dudleys that are teaching people, you know, how to do stuff and giving you explicit direction. But to actually take people and show them, and each episode is the life story of that experience for that individual, right? It's like it's a constant development of people through the outdoors. I think that's hugely, for me, that's something that, and again, I'm just trying to figure out what that means and how it's designed, but I really feel that there's a lot of positive for society, you know, through nature. And it may not be hunting. It may be taking them camping. It may be taking them kayaking. It may be taking them fly fishing. It may be taking them to shoot birds. It may be, you know, whatever it is, just being outside, you know, having real person-to-person interaction and communication.
Yeah.
Being in Atlanta, like I said, and being around, you know, the big industry and the big,
you can talk both sides of it. You
right.
grew up in South Georgia on a farm. You've lived that life, and now you live in Buckhead, and you own several businesses. You can talk that life. You've got both sides of that coin covered.
But I think it's a lot, you know, being, like, if I look at growing up on the farm side, you know, it is astounding at how many people have no idea what our food production system looks like. I mean, you see stuff like posts on social media where somebody's like, well, why would you know, why do we need farmers to grow corn when you can just get it from Kroger?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Like, I had a guy, prime example, and this, I've been thinking about this for several years, but it re-sparked it really hard. I was getting my bow tuned up and was at the shop, and this guy was in there, was buying a firearm, lives in the, you know, the suburbs of Atlanta, looked at me and goes, what is that? My bow. It's a Matthews bow, compound bow. And I said, it's a bow. He was like for like shooting arrows? And I said, yeah. And he was like, well, what do you do with that? And I said, well, I hunt deer. He was like, what do you mean you hunt deer? I was like, well, like deer, you can shoot them, and you harvest them, you clean them, you eat them. He's like, you can eat deer? Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, man. He's like, dude, I got hundreds of deer in my backyard. He's like, can you shoot at that thing in the city?
Yeah.
I was like, yes. He's like, so I can buy one of those. I can buy arrows, and I can shoot a deer, and I can eat it and provide meat. And I said, yeah, free range, organic, high quality meat for your family, and you don't have to go buy stuff at the store. It blew his mind.
Yeah.
I don't like where we missed that.
I had a TSA agent. This is no lie. I was going through the TSA line in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Put my bag on the conveyor to go through there, and it was my camo bag that I carry through, my Sitka bag that I carry through every time, full of hard drives and gear and headlamps, and I don't remember where I was going. And she said, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going hunting. She said, oh, for like ginseng? And I said, no, ma'am. I was like, I think it was going on elk hunting. I was like, we're going elk hunting. She's like animals? And I said, yes, ma'am. She said, people still do that? And I was like, all the time.
Yeah, and that's, you know,
she was serious.
Oh, absolutely. It's not their fault. It's a total lack of education about any of that stuff from the time people were born until they grow old. I mean, this guy I was talking to was like mid-50s.
Yeah.
Didn't know
this lady was in her 40s.
You didn't know that you could hunt deer and clean them and eat them.
Yeah.
Like that is, and I'm like, have you never thought of where a steak comes from? Have you never thought of like where your chicken comes from? And that is, I think, a series.
Ignorance is bliss, man.
I think a series dedicated towards creating hunters in the process of that and the dedicate. And there's a lot of people that do that through their Instagram. Dudley, for example, always introducing new people to hunting, right? Always building bows, showing them how to hunt, teaching them how to shoot, but actually creating a series. I think that ability to tell that story in a beautiful cinematic way opens the door to a lot of people that are standing just outside the door of maybe being interested to hunt to say, oh, holy crap. Like, well, then you mean I can actually learn how to do this? Like, I have so many people that reach out to me on social media. So many. I have people that reach out to me on Instagram all the time being like, hey man, like, I really don't like, hunting. I don't like the idea of killing animals, but I'm super interested in the idea of sourcing my own meat.
Yeah.
And in that instance, I would be okay with hunting. And I'm like, well, I think you're confusing hunting with killing. And I'm not like, I don't get all jacked up on killing an animal.
Yeah.
I get jacked up because I'm going to have a ton of meat. And obviously the hunt and the effort and the time and energy that it takes to harvest that animal. But all that other stuff is what creates that emotional response, and that has kind of driven me to this thought. And again, I'm still trying to create it. I said, I want, at the very beginning, I haven't fully fleshed it out. I want you guys to be involved. I think it's something that is super scalable and easy.
Oh yeah.
You could create something online where it's a platform where people have educational, and resources to match them.
Well, because that's what I was going to get at is hunting isn't something that's really easy for somebody that's never done it or doesn't have any information. You've got to have a mentor to do it.
And again, you can put all the content you want out online, but until you actually practice with someone and show them. I mean, I grew up hunting my whole life, right? And I remember getting, and I had like this old, I think it was a Buckmaster 2000 bow. It was my first bow. And I remember getting that thing. The first one I bought, I had another one. I don't even know what the name it was. I think it was an Easton bow. But I bought that Buckmaster 2000. And the Easton one was like one of those pre-rigged, had everything with it, And I had to build this bow. And I remember going to the archery store, and this guy's asking me all these questions. And I'm like, I have no idea, And he became my archery hunting store. My archery mentor, he was telling me like, okay, well, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to do it. But that is a very steep ask to get somebody that's never been hunting, never had a bow, to go into a bow store, spend $1,200 on, all the gear and everything that you need to get started, and then to go out on public land and start trying to hunt. Yeah,
that's a almost insurmountable task.
Well, and what happens is you're going to have so much failure out of the gate that you're going to say, all right, this was stupid. I'm selling my bow. I've been doing this for 3 years, and I've got friends,
if they make it 3 years, they might make it 3 sits and be like, this is stupid. I haven't seen a deer.
I've got close friends that, have leased properties for 3, 4, 5 years, and they've killed one doe, and they shot her with a rifle because they couldn't, they were trying to bow hunt, but they just don't know what they're doing. And for me, I've really gotten deep into bow hunting the last 4 years, mostly rifle hunting, bow hunting a little bit when I was younger, but it's a different ball game. It is a totally different ball game. So
Well, I think to add to that, I could add a little perspective because growing up, I'd never hunted. I did outdoorsy stuff, but like my family didn't hunt. I have an uncle who hunts, but he lives in another state, so it was something that I kind of knew existed, and but I had never done it. And like it was interesting enough to me, but I just you think of hunting and you go, oh well, I have no idea how to even begin to do that.
Yep.
So you just dismiss it. You just go, okay, that's something that other people do. You kind of have to be born into that to do it. And then I happened into this line of work, and it has basically brought me on all the hunts.
Yep.
I literally had never gone on a hunt before I had a camera and I was going on hunts. And throughout that entire process, I've been able to learn how to hunt, what is hunting, and how to like operate in that whole space. And I think that for me personally, like I've been, 4 or 5 years I've been doing this total. It's probably taken me 3 or 4 years of literally following people hunting to finally get to the point where I felt like I had enough knowledge and enough experience to feel comfortable going out and trying to attempt it on my own. I mean, it's just not something that, like, at least for me, like the first year that I even was doing this, you know, people always ask all the time, have you hunted before? Or do you want to hunt? And yeah, the first year I was like, yeah, I want to hunt, but there's no way I can go into the woods and do that. Like, I just don't even, there's too many things I don't know. And it's such a high stakes game that it's really, really intimidating to just step into the woods and try to make something happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Caleb, I think you can answer, you know, the same as me, is I learn something every single time that I hunt. I learn something. I see the way an animal reacts. I see a mistake that I made that I've been making my whole life I never knew. And I think, to your point, when you respect the art of hunting, because it is an art and it's a science, you know, it's easy to go get a gun, not sight it in, and go out and try to blast holes.
Go to South Georgia, sit in a big box blind and watch a 500-yard strip. Yeah, I mean, that's not hard. Yeah, and if that's the way that you get into hunting, great. However you get there, I don't care.
Yep.
But it's more to me than, like you said, killing. That killing is killing an animal or harvesting an animal, however you want to say it. That's a means to an end. That's a kind of like, that's a cherry on top of, okay, that's the reward for all the other work.
Yep.
All the money spent, time spent, effort, energy, studying, you know, working, you know, all this, that, and the other. And then you get into the hunting part of it that says, okay, well, you know, the people that you're going to try and take hunting, you're just going to do a whitetail hunt. Yeah. And whitetail hunting's its own animal. Mm-hmm. Then now talk about turkey hunting. It's a different animal. Then talk about elk hunting, another different animal. Then talk about mountain goats and sheep and rams, another animal. Hunting is hunting, but different animals you hunt a different way, with different methods, with different challenges, with different everything. So, you know, I've done quite a bit of hunting for different animals. I would say I'm a fairly proficient whitetail hunter. I'm maybe even a novice elk hunter, just because I've been on so many. Mm-hmm. And I'm a fairly seasoned turkey hunter. But outside of that, I still have a lot to learn. You know, you want to start doing a lot of spot and stock mule deer stuff. Mm-hmm. You want to start doing some spot and stock antelope. You want to start doing some long range stuff. Like, that is not my gig, you know, and that's one of those things to where I can learn and I can probably get it done, but I'm not going to get it done like a John Dudley. I'm not going to get it done like somebody that's a freaking ninja,
Snyder.
Yeah, Aaron Snyder, you know, those guys, like, he's killed more stuff than Parvo. So it's one of those things. And,
and how hard would it be to learn any of those things
if you did?
If, one, you didn't even have a base knowledge of anything, and two, you didn't have somebody there going, don't do that, do this, you did this wrong, this is what happened.
Look at prime example. We were doing the shoal bass project. We fished 2 days. Now, conditions were pretty terrible, but you give my dad the rod, and in 30 minutes he had caught like 3 fish, because he grew up his whole life fishing on that river with my grandfather, who taught him exactly how to do it. You
asked me to go catch a shoal bass. Me?
Yeah.
If I caught one, it'd be complete sheer luck.
Yep.
Not because of any skill. It'd be like, I am literally throwing this bait in, praying there's a fish there. Yep. So I'm clueless.
Yep.
Like, people ask me all the time about fishing. I'm like, I'm not a fisherman. Like, I know how to catch brim in a farm pond, but outside of that, it's like, you know, it's like, that's not my gig, man. It's just not me.
But that's my goal. That's just kind of like in the hunting industry. That's what my value add is coming to. That's what my goal is to try and create more hunters.
Yeah. We got to get him killed something this fall. I told him
that's my goal.
He wants to kill a doe this fall with his bow. I gave him my old bow, so he's got to get to shooting. Have you even shot it yet?
Guess who one of the hunters and one of the mentors and mentees is this year?
Mentors and mentees?
You two.
Oh, gosh.
It's going to be like second or third
Who's going to film that one?
Second or third week of October.
Yeah, second or third week. We might can do that. I'll have to look.
Maybe first, maybe fourth.
We'll see.
Let's nobody film that.
All right, so what's yours? No, money's no object. What's your series or film?
I'm sorry that everybody on here is going to have to listen to me talk about this. I know nobody wants to listen to me talk about what I'm about to talk about. Maybe Jamey, because he's recently gotten into this realm of things.
Cycling.
But
I call them bikers. He gets mad every time.
So pissed.
Biker rides a motorcycle.
I said,
cyclist.
He rides bikes. He's like, it's a cyclist. He told me every time.
Get it right. That's like calling you a cameraman.
Yeah.
Every time you call me a cyclist or a bicycler or whatever it is,
bicycler,
I'm calling you a cameraman.
Pedal, what would be a pedal pony or something like that? What's
Honestly, if you call me a pedal pony, I'd probably be stoked. Like, that's fine. I'd allow that. So I think that and I don't 100% have the idea as well developed as Jamey does, and I wasn't able to think about this beforehand. But I want to do a film or a series that dives into the world of cycling and professional cycling on a really human level. I think especially since doing Blue Stem, I've found that I really liked the emotional and the human side of storytelling that sometimes you don't get to explore as much with a lot of the pieces that we do. And I'm really passionate about cycling. I love cycling, and it's one of the, like, you guys can probably relate. It's something that fires me up. When I think of cycling, when I think of racing bikes, when I think of that entire world and that pursuit, especially being somebody who's done those things, I get really excited. And I see a lot of disconnect between what people perceive cyclist as being and the sport of cycling and what it is. And I think some of that is just because I do it, and so I romanticize it in a sort of way. But to me, cycling is a very individual pursuit. It's something that people bare their souls to try to win these races. And so, sometimes it's not even the professionals. I mean, you watch some of the guys who are semi-pro, or even some of the guys that I've raced with, and the amount of effort and heart and soul that they put into the sport is amazing. And the amount of humanity I think that is inside of the sport is, I don't think it's recognized. I think what people see is a bunch of dudes in tight spandex on little wimpy bikes.
That's what I see.
Yeah.
Riding around.
You're so upset with me right now.
Riding around,
Getting
blocking the
traffic.
roads.
Yeah.
And what they imagine is, just your weird neighbor next door getting on his bike for his weekend ride. And I see that, and because people say, what did you do this weekend? I'll go, okay, I went and rode my bike. People say, how long did you ride your bike for? And they think I'm going to say 5 miles or 30 minutes or
56 miles,
an hour or something. Yeah. And you say, oh, I went and did 80 miles. And they go, you did what? I wouldn't drive 80 miles. And you can immediately see their shift in perception of that activity. And I'm just
thinking my butt would be hurting so bad.
Not if it's fit right. I just found that out.
Mm-hmm. Did you get a fit?
Yeah. I mean, everything that you just said is exactly the same emotional thing that I'm talking about with hunting.
Right.
And I just became a cyclist, and I just went from, hey, get out of the damn way, stop blocking the road, to, oh my God, I'm about to get hit by a car on a bicycle.
Every 30 seconds.
Yeah, and I've been riding for an hour and a half, and I am exhausted, and I've gone 46 miles. I'd never ridden any, I don't even think I'd ridden a four-wheeler over like 20 miles. And, went and rode 46 miles, not too long ago. And I think everything that you just said is exactly what I'm saying for hunting is how do we open
There's a whole other
people's
world.
eyes? Well, because as humans, we get in these groups, right? And we think our group's better than the other group.
And then we sit and we live inside of this vacuum.
And guess what? No one gives a shit about you outside of that group.
Yeah.
That you're in that group. It's the same thing in the BJJ world, right?
Yeah.
I'm a blue belt. I've been a blue belt for almost a year now. Feel like I'm pretty good sometimes. And inside that community, you're like, oh yeah, I'm a blue belt. I'm not a white belt. Mm-hmm. You know who doesn't care about that at all? Anyone that doesn't do jiu-jitsu, which is a vast majority of the population. Mm-hmm. Same thing with hunting. Same thing with cycling. Same thing with arm wrestling. Same thing with throwing darts. Same thing with hunting. Right?
You name it, yeah.
How do we communicate that romantic vision to individuals that aren't involved so that at the very least they say
They have an
I
appreciation
respect
for it.
that. They
Yeah.
say I respect that you hiked 12 miles a day for 6 days in a row in the mountains, sleeping in the dirt, eating bare minimum food, all for a very minute chance that you actually see an elk, much less get a shot on him. I think that when you can break it down to that human aspect of it and say, hey, we're all part of the same ecosystem. We're all part of the same world. We're all flesh and blood. Like there's the connectivity that happens reignites that community that we have gotten so far away from. We're so connected.
Mm-hmm.
I can see what you did the last 12 hours always on Instagram if you post it. But man, like how many people do you follow on social media that you think you're best friends with? You literally think you become friends with them, but then you realize you don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
You don't know their last name or their middle name if it's not on their
Or
profile.
what their
You don't
real
know their
name,
kids.
what their real
You don't know
name
what
even
their real
is.
name is.
You just know them by their Instagram handle.
Exactly. So
kind of like Head Busted Turkey Calls. I'm still not sure what his name is. I just know it's Head Busted Turkey Calls on Instagram.
Yeah, so I think if I had unlimited money, I would like to take that and do a really high budget, high production value, like follow a team or a single guy for a year throughout the entire process of, okay, I'm starting training for the year. I'm ramping up to this. These are the first races, then racing season, and the pursuit of whatever that team or person is trying to do, and just follow it. Because I know as a person who has done that the work and the highs and the lows that happen over the course of an entire race season is, I think, something that everybody can connect with, and everybody can look at that and go, okay, yeah.
What if you ran parallels? So you had the 57-year-old dude who has heart troubles and he's cycling to stay alive. You've got the dude that's training to try to hit criterium for the Tour de France. You've got the Jamey Shirah that just picked up cycling, and you're running those parallels, and the culmination of the whole series and show is to say that it's basically for anyone and everyone can benefit from it.
I like
if you
that.
just would open your freaking eyes and stop being such a lot of words I want to use right now, but just, have some freaking ability to be empathetic towards what other people see and what they like and what they do.
Yeah.
Just because it's not what you agree with doesn't mean it's wrong.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that makes me angriest is when somebody passes me on the road and calls me like
Lance.
homosexual. And it's like, okay, really, you shouldn't be driving past people on the road and calling them names.
Was it Chuck?
Because you have no idea who I am.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
And just because I'm doing this one thing, you're going to call me that. I will throw hands. Give me a chance. Stay at that red light.
Yeah. 2 weeks
and you'll
ago,
see who's about.
2 weeks ago, I was going up this just insane hill in Atlanta that, first of all, I didn't know existed.
Isn't it amazing how many hills
path.
you find?
Oh, and there's no
roads
downhill.
that you drive.
There's
Roads
no
that you
downhill.
drive, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I've driven that road 1,000 times. That looks like a nice
It's
road.
pretty
And
flat.
you get there on your
Yeah.
bike, you're like, what?
It was like a
God
mile.
dang.
It was like a mile, like
I'm going backwards.
Lowest-
This
yeah.
wasn't this hard in the car.
lowest gear climb, as hard as I can go.
Don't you love
And
that?
this dude gets up behind me, and he could have easily just gone around me. He was making a show up.
They can always easily.
Behind me, wheels out. Hey, you. It was just every F word there is in the book. And I'm like, dude, you're like 120 pounds, like soaking wet with your Zoomer pipe on your freaking Scion. Get out of here. I hope I catch you at the next red light.
Yeah.
But I think that goes to show like kind of the ignorance of and the inability to accept.
Yeah.
Well, and the same
And
thing
just say,
happens
hey, I
with-
don't understand that, but just because I don't understand it doesn't mean I should hate it or
Yeah.
it's wrong.
Well, the same thing
I'm-
happens in the hunting industry where
Absolutely.
people assume that if you hunt, you're
You're
a backwoods redneck who, probably goes and gets drunk and maims some deer.
Yeah, you don't
on the
value
weekends.
life. You're just a psychopath that kills animals for the fun of it.
Yep.
Yada,
Just a
yada,
straight
yada.
generalization.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, you see this
Hollywood's really good at generalizations.
Yeah.
Real good.
Turns out.
Anytime there's a show about the South, anybody that represents somebody from the South is a
Dumbass.
100%. Redneck idiot that can barely put two words together and wears cut off flannels all the time. It's like could not be further from the truth. Now, do I know a couple like that?
Yeah.
I know a couple like that.
Yeah.
But the vast majority are pretty good people. But
yeah, that's life.
Yeah.
Get off the news. Get off social media.
Yeah.
Stop listening to all the BS. Go talk to your neighbor.
Do
talk to your neighbor.
Do what the heck you want to do with your life, and don't let anybody tell
Use
you not to do that.
Use your brain, man. Use your brain.
Talk to your neighbors.
Common sense.
Smile at people.
Won't you
Austin, did Austin have a question?
Yeah, he wanted to hear.
Your boy Austin Legg's been commenting.
Been hyping you up.
Mr. Leg.
He says Jamey's a class act, absolutely crushing it.
I guess he calls you hot and long.
Baker calls me hot. Or no, he called me hot. I don't know where that came from, but yes, that's a nickname for some reason.
Hot and long.
Oh, it's because Baker hacked my Facebook and wrote on there in my profile that my about me is I'm a tall thin. And Austin was trying to remember what it said. And he said, what did it say, like hot and long or something? And I was like, it didn't say hot and long, but you can go with that. So now he calls me hot and long.
That's funny. I like that.
Better than
he
cold and short.
Yeah.
So he wants to know everybody's number one bucket list hunt if money is no issue.
I have two that are just like, actually three.
You got to pick one.
Wait, money is no issue? I don't understand the question.
As long as you don't come home, is it one trip?
Yeah, no
I
doubt.
would like to do all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a straight up, long term out there goat hunt is one of them. A moose hunt with a bow, is one of them, and killing I don't know what subspecies it is of giant ibex in like Uzbekistan or Pakistan. Those things are insane.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Yeah, I have no desire to do that, but they're really cool. What's yours? I know you've never killed anything, but if you could kill one thing, what is it?
I feel like I need to kill something before I can start.
Well, no. Give an answer.
This is a very impolitically correct answer that I'm about to give, and I'm not sure if this is legal anywhere.
Don't say humans.
I don't know. I've always wanted to kill a polar bear.
I don't know if you can hunt polar bears anymore. You used to, but
I think if like maybe 10 or 15 years ago you could. But
yeah, I don't think there's anywhere you can kill a polar bear anymore.
I don't know why. I've just always wanted to do that. It seems like.
Oh, actually, I would say probably my number one is what's that island off
Kodiak?
No, off the Soviet side. Starts with a K as well.
But
they kill these massive.
A fogneck?
bears. That's Adirondack now.
A fogneck islands.
Oh no, what is it? Oh God.
I guess
Kodiak's generally where the biggest bears are.
I guess probably a realistic bucket list hunt would probably be moose in Alaska.
Yeah.
Moose in Alaska?
Yeah. I just want to go to Alaska, really. I guess the bucket list hunt is not so much.
I've been to Alaska. It was.
You don't like it.
I did not have a good trip.
Yeah, I think my bucket list hunt is less about the animal and
more
more
about the
about
place.
I want to take
Kamchatka.
Never heard of it.
Kamchatka, Russia.
Never heard of it.
It is
the Ruskies.
Yeah, it is like these bears. I mean, just Google it. The
I will.
bears,
They're
like
Russian
12
bears.
foot tall.
Well, it is Russia.
Like monster bears.
Huh.
With
So
a bow.
yours is more
I don't
about
think
the
they
place,
don't
though.
allow you to shoot them with a bow, though.
Really?
No.
I wouldn't want to. I've seen those things. They're
I
real
shot-
life monsters.
My one hunt I accomplished 2 years ago, which was like my ultimate dream hunt, was Cape buffalo with a bow.
Mm-hmm.
I shot one at 46 yards, one arrow, and killed him,
Mm-hmm.
which was insane.
Yeah.
I was in South Africa with our friends.
Yours is more about the place, though, than the animal.
Yeah, I want to go to Alaska and
Which
I want
is-
to take a float plane
Yeah.
or a bush plane.
Done both of those things.
Because-
Neither one of them were as fun as I thought. They were more sketchy than fun.
I 100%.
Good old
I want the
Caleb, always there to
sketchiest.
just punch you right in the gut with your dreams.
They were way sketchy.
I want the
way
sketchiest plane ride.
What's
sketchy.
yours?
I don't know if you could get a much
What's
sketchier
yours,
plane
Caleb?
ride. I don't know. That's the thing. If it's just me hunting, it's probably going to be a moose, Yukon, Alaska moose.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I've done that and it was really cool.
As soon as I said it, he was like, "Oh, Alaska, I hate that place."
I said the Yukon first.
Oh, it's not nearly as cool.
But
Whatever else you were gonna say.
But
But I'm just gonna take yours and make it just a little bit different.
my film idea though, I never got to my film idea is I want to do a film about my buddy named Matt Carpenter who lives in the Yukon. His family has a 2 million acres in the Yukon.
Squeeze me?
Yeah. They have a concession in Yukon that's 2 million acres.
It's the size of Georgia.
It's 200
That's just a
220 kilometers of the McMillan River runs through the middle of it. And he still runs a wolf trap line. And I want to do a film about that trap line. Real bad.
Wolves are big.
I want to see a full-grown 100 to 140 pound wolf in a live trap.
I've
Want to
seen
see
one
that
not
real
in a
bad.
trap, and it's way scarier than I would imagine they would be if they were in a trap.
That's why I want to do it.
Because I thought it was a bear.
Yeah. Oh, it looked like a bear.
Mostly black, but kind of silver wolf in Idaho.
Yeah.
I was like,
I would never ever want to be in the woods and see
my
one of those.
God.
I've never seen a live wolf other than like in a zoo.
they're
But
big.
yeah,
Like
I've
the
seen
salt.
lots of
They're
tracks. We saw a lot of tracks in Alaska and in the Yukon, but I want to run that trap line with him because when I was up there doing that moose hunt with Glenn Garner years ago, he showed us the trappers' cabins that him and his dad and his uncle built by hand. They literally built 20 of these every 10 kilometers down the trap line because they would only get to travel 10 kilometers a day by dog shoe. And then they had literally have a wooden box. It was probably smaller than this room that they built so many of them. They knew how many boards and how many nails to carry and exactly how much gas to carry for the chainsaw to be able to build one. And they would build it by hand, and they would have this tree, and they would have another little box at the top of this tree with dried food. So they had food in case they hadn't caught anything or killed anything. And he lived there for 10 years in the middle of the remote wilderness in the Yukon from age 7 to 17. And I want to be able to tell his story. But in order to tell that story, it's going to cost a lot of money with a really big support crew because that is not an easy task to do because essentially you're in one of the most inhabitable places on Earth during the worst times to be there. It's negative 40-something degrees, and you're either on a snow ski-doo or dog sled checking live wolf traps, and I'm like that. That's a story that I want to see.
Ski-doo, huh?
Yeah,
There
skidoo.
jet skis out there?
No, well they're the whatever the snowmobiles.
Sleds.
They call them
Skidoo.
skidoos. Is what they call them.
Oh, I thought they were called snow sleds.
Well, they have all
I call
different
them
names.
snowmobiles.
Yeah, that's what
Snowmobiles. That's what I meant.
preferred nomenclature.
Some people call them sleds.
Yeah, I'll let
like
him.
if you're in that community, you call them sleds.
Well, I'll let him ride the
Name
dog
that.
chute. I'll be on the sled.
I want one of
Those
those.
things are actually. Have you ever ridden one?
Never have. I've heard.
They're really hard to.
I've
stay
heard
on.
that.
You're just like, whoa,
Yeah, they're
boom,
like you have to
fall off.
fight them the whole.
Yeah.
You have to fight them like the
kinda
whole
have
time.
to lean back and like
Yeah.
you have to weight them like a motorcycle, but way
Yeah.
harder.
Yeah, and I just see like that trip would be extremely really tough to do, and that's something I want to test myself with is being able to make a film in that environment because generally, I mean, what we're filming in is harsh conditions, but that's real.
Yeah.
Elk hunt on a mountain, yeah, it's steep and it's everything else, but it's also like 70 degrees, and if it's not raining, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
That place, one mistake, you're dead type thing, and like that's kind of really cool to me. That would probably be mine because I've wanted to do it ever since I met him in 2014. And he's like he's going to let me do it, so I've got the ability to do it. Just got to find somebody that wants to. Problem is, you could probably find funding for it from a company that wasn't afraid of wolves. Most companies are scared to death of wolves, man, because people are crazy about wolves.
It's a big old puppy dog.
Yeah.
It's a big old nice puppy dog.
Let that puppy dog get after you.
Bears.
Yeah.
People-
Oh, yeah, bears, and then the third would be stingrays. People are weird about stingrays.
Sharks too.
Stingrays suck.
Sharks too. People are real.
Oh,
weird
dude,
about
we got
sharks.
some hate mail on the habit when we did stingrays.
Stingrays?
Yes.
It killed Steve Irwin.
Killed Steve Irwin, exactly.
That's what would so everybody should want them dead.
You think so?
I think the
Killed
thing.
a worldwide treasure.
I think the thing that happens is like there's these species that are generally considered like bad species that most people avoid, like sharks, and the stingrays killed
Any
Steve Irwin.
apex predator. Apex predator people
And then
love.
what people do is they then decide that they're going to make that species into a victim of hate and vitriol and then be the savior for that species. So I think that's what happens.
What's his with the bigger animals like bears or whatnot?
Apex predators.
Yeah, what's Steve Rinella calls them?
Megafauna. Charismatic megafauna. Charismatic megafauna.
You see like Disney movies and stuff that portray them as live humans.
Yeah.
They have
personify
them, and so when you grow up, it's like, oh, you can't. It's such like
it's a sweet teddy bear. Yeah.
It's like,
no, that's a freaking brown bear. He'll eat your face.
Yeah, he will claw you to death. I mean, that 76-year-old woman just a day or two ago got gored by that buffalo or bison or whatever they call it out there.
Yeah.
What was it?
In Yellowstone? Smashed her. She got like 7 feet to take a picture with it. Not of it, with it.
Well,
what was that guy a few months ago? Did you see the picture of the guy who had his entire face ripped open?
By that bear in Alaska?
Yeah.
Oh, and he was just like...
Yeah.
I have... your face is gone.
I'm pretty impervious to gore. And I saw that picture, and it made my stomach turn.
It was pretty gnarly.
And you know what I also realized by that? I'm a huge sissy. And that dude's...
He was holding his face on and driving the snowmobile.
Way tougher than I am. Like, that dude... That's a man right there. That's a man, baby.
Or like the freaking guy in Colorado who got stuck under the boulder and sawed his own arm off.
Yeah.
Can you even imagine?
27 hours or whatever it's called?
127 hours. I think.
Like you just look at some of those people and go, that person has a different mind than me. Well, because I don't think that
I agree,
I don't think I would ever be able to get to a point where I was like, okay, I'm sawing my arm off.
I agree. You say that now
until
you're in the circumstance and you literally say, okay, I'm going to either cut my arm off, which is the worst thing I could ever imagine, or I'm going to die, which is actually the worst thing I could ever imagine. I mean, rule number 1 of life, right? Don't die.
Yeah.
So whatever you can do to prevent
Pretty simple.
There's 2 rules. Don't die. Don't be an asshole. Number 1, don't die. If you have to be an asshole not to die, you could be an asshole.
Exactly.
But if you're not actively dying, don't be an asshole.
True story. Well, Jamey, where can everybody find you?
Instagram or Facebook or wherever, Jamey Shirah, JameyShirah. And I've got a blog called JameyDoingThings.com where it's more leadership kind of business focused stuff. It's a lot of the lessons that I use to teach our management and teams.
The one that you wrote about your dad making you drive the post or whatever.
Yeah.
Like literally like choked up because that was my dad. 100%.
Digging holes.
That one hit hard, buddy. Like I'm reading that and I'm like, the Tims, your dad's name Tim, my dad's name Tim, something about them Tims, man. They don't make them much better than our dads.
Man, and that's what's drawing me towards this whole outdoor mentorship thing. I think that's what I'm so incredibly fortunate not only to have the dad that I have, but to have the dad that I have that put me in the outdoors and taught me, to respect nature and respect the outdoors in and of itself. And we just don't have a lot of that anymore, and that's the reason why you're seeing such a decline in the amount of hunters. And if I can, one person at a time, if I can change that, I mean, that's a win. So.
Yep. Ryerstein, you got anything else?
The blog is good. Read the blog. I enjoy the blog. That's a personal endorsement.
Thank you.
Personal endorsement.
I don't know. I felt like I didn't have any good wrap-up thoughts. I can't.
All right, well, guys. Well, that was 2 seconds and 2 hours on the nose for a podcast. So
2 hours?
Yeah.
Basically, we're Joe Rogan now.
All right, guys. Peace.